both days. We come down to the final race. We just ask that maybe a few more good memories can be made this afternoon. Keep these riders safe, Lord. Just let us all have a wonderful time. Lord, once again, we thank you for the blessing that you give us each and every day. We thank you for being in control of everything every day. Continue to watch over our military men and women fighting for our freedom so we can have such a wonderful country to live in. Watch over our leaders each and every day. Lord, we thank you for this landowner for letting us use this beautiful piece of property. Lord, we just ask you to take everyone home safely so we can get back together again one day to enjoy the sport again. And we thank you for your son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please remain standing, stand at attention, remove those caps, and cross those hearts as we get set to honor the greatest nation in the world with the playing of our national anthem being performed today by former warrant member, Mr. Billy Morris. Formerly of the band Warren.
Hello and welcome to RacerTV. We've got sun, we've got sand, palmetto bushes everywhere. Where are we? That's right, round one of GNCC in Palatka, Florida. The big story this weekend, Caleb Russell looking to make it 4 in a row. After a winter of recovering from a serious injury, the champ needs to get back to his winning ways early. Other riders like Josh Strang had a full winter of racing and training, looking to make their mark this year in 2016. Ryan Sipes changing teams, headed to the Coastal team, picking up momentum after his ISDE victory. It's anybody's game this weekend here in Florida.
Board from across the world and across the globe as we get set to introduce to you the top 18 riders here today getting ready to tackle the sands of Florida to try to find out who is going to come out toughest and fastest at the end of round number 1. Rolling to the line first today, he is your 3-time GNCC champion. And he is, of course, hailing from Boonville, North Carolina on a factory FMF KTM. Fresh off a late season injury and surgery off the winter. Can Caleb Russell keep the power flowing? Ladies and gentlemen, number 1 of KR 557, Caleb Russell. Rolling to the line second today. He rides aboard the number 314. The young man from Belton, South Carolina, on an Infab Ampro Yamaha, Grant Baylor. Rolling to the line today, third. He rides aboard the number 114, a former GNCC XC1 class champion, on an on a Rockstar Energy Husqvarna Factory Racing Bel-Ray Husky, Josh Strang. Rolling to the line fourth today, aboard the number 4 from Crown Point, Indiana, on a JCR Honda, backed by Lucas Oil, Maxxis, and Fly Racing, Chris Bach. Rolling to the line next today, he earned the number 5 in 2015, hailing from Williamstown, West Virginia, on a Rocky Mountain ATV MC KR4 Far Racing Husqvarna, Thad Duval. Rolling to the line next, he finished 6th last season, but his biggest accomplishment was winning the ISDE overall. Aboard the number 264 from Ekron, Kentucky, on a Coastal Racing Rockstar Husqvarna, Ryan Sipes. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 7, finishing 7th after last season, from Cookeville, Tennessee, on a Westfield Power Sports KTM, presented by Moose Racing, Jordy Ashburn. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 514, a former XC2 Pro Lights champion, from Belton, South Carolina, the Mototech KTM of Stuart Baylor. Riding aboard the number 410, going to the line 9th today. He hails from Birdsboro, Pennsylvania, a former National Enduro champion on a Rockstar Energy Husqvarna Factory Racing Husky, Andrew DeLong. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 903, one of Canada's great. From out of Canada, on a Parts Canada Thor Husqvarna, Tyler Medaglia. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the number 55 from Wellington, Ohio, on an MCS Racing back Kawasaki. Welcome back, Scott Grills. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the number 25 from Canada on a KTM Canada Recluse Canada FMF back KTM, Philip Cheney. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the number 121. After a few years' absence, he made his debut back in the GNCC Racing last year. He rides aboard a KTM backed by SRT from Logan, Ohio, Corey Buttrick. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 22 from Cincinnati, Ohio, on an Obermeyer MCS Suzuki, backed by Fly Racing and Maxxis Tires, Chris Douglas. The number 217, hailing from here in the great state of Florida, from Vero Beach. He picked up a ride at the last minute as a substitute ride on the Bonsai Morgantown Power Sports Sunstar Yamaha, the Sandman, Garrett Edmonston. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 31, hailing from Australia, an NFAB and Pro Yamaha, Daniel Milner. Welcoming back to row number 1, aboard the number 212 from the great Northwest, out of Duval, Washington, on an Obermeyer MCS Suzuki. He's rough, he's rowdy, he's Ricky Russell. And last and certainly not least, last year's XC2 Pro Lights champion from England, on a low jack cycle sales JTR off-road Yamaha, JT Jason Thomas. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this, the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. As these riders find their way onto the starting line here, they start them up and rev them up for one last moment, the last couple of moments before the warm-up to this, the opening round of 2016. Who's going to come out on top of this one? Well, everybody's coming gunning, and as we said yesterday, everyone's on an even field, and they're all tied for the championship here today, and we've got plenty of great racing action to cover over the course of the next 3 hours. As the hush fell across the crowd only moments ago, the bikes begin to warm themselves back up in anticipation of the flying of that green flag as All eyes will now be beginning to focus up toward the first turn region where Ricky Towery returns once again here this season as our start man and finish line flagger. He is our maestro and conductor of ceremonies, if you will, and he, my friends, will get the show rolling here in just a few moments. The adrenaline beginning to flow as Ricky steps out onto the first turn region. He checks his watch. The hearts begin to pound. The eyes widen. And Ricky Towery signals the field of riders 1 minute before the start of this Wild Boar GNCC. The next thing we'll see is Ricky Towery waving that blue flag indicating to shut them down. Some of the last instructions they will have before the start of this 3-hour racing extravaganza we call GNCC Racing. The blue flag is up and out. Less than 30 seconds to go. Shut them down, guys. Shut them down. Shut them down. Shut them down. I got to ask you, Florida race fans, as you pile in deep around the first turns here, are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Now, Florida, that's pretty doggone good. I got to give you that. You got to be amped up, and there's no doubt. But I got to ask you one more time. Man, we're in Florida. We're kicking off the 42nd annual season of America's premier off-road racing championship. And I'm going to ask you one more time. Florida, are you ready to go Wild Boar GNCC Racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. $250 up for grabs as these riders round that first turn. Oh, Caleb Russell goes down, taking 2 other riders with him. It's the 212 of rough and rowdy Ricky Russell grabbing the early lead. Ryan Sipes and both Caleb Russell down in the first turn. Russell is still not rolling, and there he goes now. Caleb Russell dead last out of the first turn. Talk about going to be an exciting day. The stage is set, my friends. XC2 Pro Lights, Trevor Bollinger, Craig DeLong, Nick Davis, Jesse Grome, Samuel Evans, Zach Hayes, Nathan Thornhill, Joshua Lee, Austin Lee, Joshua Toth, Brendan Riordan, Ryan Lojak, Vance Francis, Drew Higgins, Jason Clammer, Hunter Neuwirth, Mark Horesco, Clayton Gertzner. Also, we're looking for riders like Lane Michael, Tegan Temple, Michael McGinnis, Benjamin Kelly, Kyle McDonald, Jacob Hines, Mason Atherton, and Trevor Barrett ready to roll in 10 seconds. Another $100 up for grabs here in this whole shot for the XC2 Pro Lights class. Who's it going to be? Whoa, the 17 machine. Pulling the early lead in that one, it looks like. Craig DeLong grabbing the lead in that one as we go to the 200A bike class, featuring Jesse Ansley, Kevin Knott, Brandon Gallo, Jacob Chrisman, Brian Palumbo, Clint Schaefer, and Chase Hayes, all ready to tackle turn number 1 on Ricky Towery's cue as he sets these riders and lets them know. 10 seconds. And they're off. And Ansley, fresh off of a youth national championship last season. See how well he fares here. It's a 3:29. Jesse Ansley grabbing the early lead. One of Florida's own is going to be tough to beat. The 258 bike class. Chris Vendetti, Eric Douglas, Andrew Boggs, Sean Benhart, Burke Hawley, Evan Curl, Cameron Sisk, Logan Papul, Brian Clementowski, John Hugo, Gregory Coffey, Colin Cook, Ryan Slotko, Mike Mealer. Also looking at R.J. Cook, Jeremy Smith, Alex Teagarden, Cody Thomas, Jonathan Greer. 10 seconds. Jake Mashad, Spencer St. John, Ryder Heacock, also Jamie Wilson, Nate Smith, Matt Conley, Joey McNeil, JoJo Bowden, Timothy Campbell, Justin Lafferty, Anthony Federico, Coleman Brisson, Anthony Tavani, Josh Farrell, Cameron Nelson, John Day, Brandon Hayes, Zach Nolan Cole, Harbor Street, and Dylan Dela Cruz. The 45, Sean Benhart gets the early lead in this one. Four-stroke A Lights bike. We got Braxton McGee, Hunter Shelton, Trey Jefferson, Drew Bolton, Dustin Dincock, or Dunnick rather. Then we got Colin Keegan, Connor Keegan, Christopher McManus, Russell Smith, Mason Stevens, Mike Atkinson, Hunter Mannix, Destin Simpson, Zach Halcomb, Andrew Savage, Francis Clemente, Lorindo Sylvia, Cope Becker, Caleb Williams, Eric Souders, Tristan Landrum, Austin Evans, Bryce Coster, Dustin Stanley, Alexandre Gugan, and Andrew French. 10 seconds. And they're off. And the four-stroke A Lights led by the 24 machine, it looks like. Open A bike, Dylan Rash, Vincent Smith, Brady Myers, Dual Murphy, Spencer Hoyt, Grant Marriott, Roman Phipps. We got Levi Keller, Cole Kirkhoff, Ben Parsons, Zach Tussle, Alexander Thickowitz, also Jordan Johns, Michael Pillar, Dominic Jarvis, Chance Hazeltine, Will Mason, J.D. Tillman, Nicholas Hunter, Justin Leonard, Sam Forrester, Dylan Green, Nicholas Cordana, Zeb Gronett, also Dustin Ulrich, Joey Baker, Ryan Quinn. 10 seconds. Cody Jeffers, Marc-Andre Baudouin, William Scharf. We also have Connor Smith, Cordis Brooks, Trevor Cobb, Brandon Higgins, and Corey Blanton. And the Junior AB class coming up next. 25-plus class riders in this one. Joseph McCarty, Jeremy Jackson, Adam Clark, Ian Smith, Christian Barada, Brandon Peterson, Lucas Towery, Aaron Studer, and Robbie Towery. All ready to roll off of the Junior A 25-plus class. I believe this is row 8, if I'm counting them back right. The blue flag is out yet again. And the dead engine call hushes the field as once more these riders stare down this long start stretch to Ricky Towery to see. 10 seconds. And they're off in the Junior A-B class now. As they get it sorted out through turn 1, we turn our attention back now to the Senior A-B 40-plus class. Joe Kessler, Scott Campbell, Brett Torchilla, Roman Kilgore, Frank Tussle, Marcelo Correa. Also we have Robert Lax, Josley Cotillas, Patrick Tobin, Mark McGrath, John Chambers, Derek Pacheco, Guy Garreau, Corey Thorson, and Bob Bergman. 10 seconds. Senior A 40-plus class off and rolling now. Great jump by Guy Garreau out of Canada on that 801 machine. Man, talk about reaction time. Look where it put him. That A 30-plus class coming out next. We got Joe Marsh, Jesse Arsenal, Fabian Barada, Big Jim Steiner, also Eddie Lojak Jr., Gustavo Hidalgo, Rick Melise, Matt Jankovic. We got Ryan Inman, Sean Jackson, Graham Mattis, John Beaver, Chris Durrance, Joe Dean, Chris Levin, Benjamin Walters, Justin Cross, and Jason Bayo. 10 seconds. That A 30-plus class off and rolling now. 274, Matt Jankovic out of Randolph, New Jersey, got a good jump on the old Yamaha. Let's see if he can hold it. Nope, looks like the 75. Big Jim Steiner out of Edette, New York, going to take the lead now. Four-stroke B Lights class, Colton Cupp, Adam Hollenkamp, Britton Laird, Hunter Williams, Will Busick, Bolton Baroth, also Cody Sims, Hunter Hart, Brendan Poling, Dante Ranieri, Tyler Bosley, Cale Kress, Christopher Hoyle, Corbin Patton, Sean Cochran, Leon Fox, Derek Swander. Also looking at Forrest Busby, Talon Bennett, Patrick Jones, Carter Johnson, and Colton Hale. 10 seconds. And they're off. 229, Hunter Williams. Great jump by this young man. Look at this, man. Kid was a good rider from the youth ranks, but we got that 881, I believe, Carter Johnson out of Rome, PA, taking the actual hole shot. We got some good, fresh talent coming up in that class now, it looks like. It's a 250B bike. Adam Lewis, James Harshberger. We got Little Timmy Steiner, Paul Crutchlow, Evan Walker, Max Oresco, Samuel Stamper, Drew Rainey, Michael Adam. 10 seconds. Sean Shalaby, Keith Mitchell, Nathan Rector, Jeremy Biggs, Kyle Boyle, Frederick Balloon, Zachary Sanders, Cole Barrett, Noah Stevens, Cody Aliff, Kevin Davis, Gabe Potvin, also Dominic Wright, Michael O'Brien, Nick O'Brien, Billy Seglia. 200B bike class coming up next. Garrett Freer is part of this, along with Zeb Duvall, Mike Delisle. We got Johnny Manera, Adam Parker, TJ Weber, Alyssa Mesnick. We got Randy Smith, Cash Jacobs, Garrett Robertson, Connor Campbell, Nathan Davis, Chase Colville, Hank Hayes, Steve Morrison, Hunter Harbs. 10 seconds. And they're off. Like the shot out of a gun, a 357 pulling up to the early lead in this one, it looked like, but out of the first turn. Oh, it's him still. And I think that's Johnny Manera out, the 363 rider, or Nathan Davis, one of those two. As we go to the Vet B 30 plus class now, Larry Hopper, Scott Dowlins, Sean Morris, Gabe Ramirez, Cesar Alvarez, Mike Barber, Wayne Farnsworth, Joshua Tilsworth, Ivor Stevens. I got Brad Green, Carson Meisenheimer, Joshua Medley, Daniel Cleveland, Carlos Lisa, Zachary Ruffing, and Chris Engel. And they're off the Vet B 30 plus class. GNCC Pastor Chuck Lemaster racing earlier this morning says he took a bath in a mud hole out there after a couple of laps. Open B bikes coming up next. Josh Atkins, Jeremy Lanther, Jordan Harris, Grant Lehman, also Drew Doran, Corey Virgin, Devin Newkirk, Matt Brumpy, Dylan Reccia. We got Joseph Nemeth. 10 seconds. Ryan McManus, Nick Labasco, Joseph McCurder, Michael Hall, Jacob Biggs, and Craig Daft. Senior B 40 plus class, Devin Ferguson, Dan Nayenko, Robert Lightfeld, Jeffrey Flynn, Jason Wilson, Jorge Rivera, Christian Brumbaugh, also Gary Hudak. We got Travis Pepin, Dan Nickel, Mike Zarabik, Will Gribben, William Lackey, Irvin Kelly, Darren Darmos, and David Galliano. 10 seconds. And the green flag drops on this one. That might be Christian Brumbaugh on that beta-looking machine out there in Williamsburg, Virginia. Oh, it's going to be Cowie Rider. I believe that might be Gary Hudak, and that, my friends, is your Senior B 40 plus start, and that is the final start that we have here for you this afternoon. Over 300 riders are out there on the course, about 306 according to my paperwork, and wow, we got 3 hours of great racing to get it all sorted out to see who's going to come on top. Well, as we saw, Caleb Russell went down in turn number 1 with Ryan Sipes. They were the last two off the XC1 Pro Class line out of turn 1. Will they be able to catch up? Stick around here on GNCC Live to find out.
Any engine, any season, at home, at the track, or on the trail. AMSOIL for any engine. Maxxis tires.
racers, we understand the need to get quality parts, apparel, and accessories fast. We have the horsepower of multiple warehouses to make sure your gear, OEM parts, or accessories make it to your door quickly. Check out our easy-to-use website and experience customer service that takes the whole shot. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
I'm a sore loser. I'm a sore loser.
Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best?
The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why I
only use
Medic products in my engine.
Medic gasket. Medic gasket.
Kinetic gasket is a superior quality gasket that lets you demand the highest level of performance.
Daytona International Speedway is synonymous with four-wheeled action, but getting airborne on four wheels, well, that's a new experience. Come check it out on Tuesday afternoon with the second annual Fly Racing ATV Supercross right here at Daytona International Speedway. Come watch high flyers like defending series champion Chad Wienen, challengers like Joel Hetrick, Thomas Brown, and Jeff Rastrelli, and last year's Supercross winner John Natale this Tuesday right here at Daytona.
I'm just a lost soul that's made of paper, but your touch can color the white and bring back the beauty into my life.
I'm Johnny Gallagher calling the action here from round one. The Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC here in lovely Blackhawk, Florida. We've got beautiful temperatures and great weather conditions here. We've got quite a track laid out. I'm joined by Matt Megawatt Watson. The action is already underway with Ryan Sipes, the Team Coastal Husky team, grabbing the whole shot there in the XC1 class, and a little bit of carnage there in the first turn. Matt, you got to watch it. Tell us about what you got to see there.
Wow, it looked like a typical Caleb Russell start. Came up the inside, made the pivot, put the left foot down, and as soon as he did and accelerated, for some reason the bike just drifted to the right and took an extreme spin. He started to high side, got a little help from, I believe, Ricky Russell, and that was it.
Yeah, you know, it was the action was fast and furious as things got going there, and we've got a lot of storylines coming into today. You know, with obviously the main storyline being is where's Caleb Russell at, our three-time champion, coming into round one, obviously coming back from that knee injury and knee surgery that he had there at the end of last season. You know, I can tell you from experience, it's not something that you really quantify until you get out on the track and start racing. Obviously, Caleb, I did get an opportunity to see him ride quite a bit this winter. He's riding very well. He looks confident. But today is where we find out the tale of the tape when it's all said and done after 3 hours of racing. But so many storylines, so many new rides, so many new riders in that XC1 class. And then, man, we just can fall right back into that XC2 class. So let's start running it down until we get to see the leaders popping through here. We should see them there over at the 5-mile marker very soon. But in the meantime, let's catch up on some of the new storylines.
You know what? You talk about some of the new storylines. Guys like Josh Strang did a lot of riding this year, did a lot of races, did a lot of local races, got a lot of time in on the bike, and they're feeling really confident. Ryan Sipes, member of a new program, coming off an ISDE win, had a solid winner. That guy could be a favorite at any round, you know. So today, like you said, the measuring stick is laid out here because as good as everybody looked on the videos we watched all winter, we saw everybody on social media. Everybody looks good when they're on the camera. But when you put them on the line and you drop the flag, Johnny, that's going to be the tale of the tape.
You know, one thing I heard many years ago, and I've always liked this saying, is everybody's tied for the points lead, and everybody has an equal opportunity at championship until this race is over. Then you've got a points leader. Then you've got a second place, third place, fourth place, fifth place guy that have to work towards that championship. But right now, until this checkered flag flies today, each one of these guys in this XC1 class, XC2 class, has an equal opportunity to championship. So sure, we know who finished the top 5 last year. We know who the top 10 were. We know who the top 20 were. But this is a clean slate here today, and who knows, we might see some surprises. We've got obviously some new guys to the XC1 class. We've got Ricky Russell moving up. He's now too old for that XC2 class, was a contender for a championship there last year. He's on a new program with that MCS Obermeyer Suzuki team. As you mentioned, the new Coastal team this year, those guys have been very active and dominant, actually, in the UTV ranks. Now they've branched out. Last year they added an ATV program with Jay Shadron last year, and a Pro-Am rider as well. And now this year they've got Bryson Neal, who finished yesterday second place behind Walker Fowler, who won yesterday's ATV race. So obviously those guys are serious about it. And with Ryan Sipes grabbing the whole shot, that's an early lead. You know, we could see those guys grab a win today.
You're absolutely right. I'm going to expand on what you said. I'm going to back up to this morning's youth race. Zach Davison, Super Mini Junior guy, comes through the pack from the second row, dominates the race. Michael Beeler Jr., here come our leaders now.
Look at this. Ricky Russell with the lead. So here we are talking about it. A new XC1 rider, a rider who's actually run XC1 a few years ago. Oh, look at this. Matt Megawatt Watson with hairs on his arm standing up. He's so excited about the racing action.
Pumped up. You better believe it.
Ricky Russell making that new ride look good. There we see Daniel Milner working his way through. So Russell in first as they're coming through now. It looks like that is the 903 in second. I couldn't see who that was in third there. It's a bit hard to see.
The shadows are getting me right now, Johnny.
That's Milner in fourth, and that looks like, that's Andrew DeLong, the 410 in fifth. Now here comes another one of the Suzuki riders. You know, it's really, there's Caleb Russell. He has worked his way up to about mid-pack. It looks like Josh Strang possibly behind him there. Now we see the 264, there's Ryan Sipes working his way through. Now we see Stu Baylor. There's 314, so that's Grant Baylor. So Stu Baylor and Grant Baylor are fairly close together right now. The shadows are really struggling here. It's hard to see the numbers on these bikes, and obviously with everybody with new rides, new gear, it's tough to see who everybody is.
I tell you, Johnny, how hesitant are these guys through the swamp here right now? Did you notice the Baylor brothers? It's anybody's guess how deep it really is in there. And this is new terrain. This is terrain that hadn't been ridden by the... Oh, my goodness.
Look at that.
Somebody seat deep right now took the wrong line choice by 10 feet.
That's Lane Michael, the 523 Coastal rider. It looks like he was possibly leading the XC2. He was the first XC2 rider we had seen come through, and now he is buried seat deep in a water hole. And I can tell you that bike shut off, which means he sucked water all the way through that filter into the engine. I believe I did see Nick Davis come through there. Now we see Craig DeLong working his way through. I'm looking off camera here, but that is Lane Michael, and that's Alan Gravitt, one of the KTM mechanics. He's in there trying to pull him out of the water, and unfortunately he's going to have a long way to go even to get that bike refired.
Yeah, what a heartbreaker there. You know, that guy had some issues last year, had some injuries. Just he had untypical bad luck for him, and sure enough, here we go.
Here we see Trevor Bollinger. Now he's working his way through. He's one of the, what we would consider probably one of the favorites in that XC2 class this year. He's one of those guys, like you said, that had a lot of activity on social media over the winter. Looked like he's riding really strong, and now a part of that JCR Honda program, along with his teammate Chris Bach.
Had a chance to talk to Johnny Campbell over the last few days, and let me tell you, he's really excited about Trevor. And to be honest with you, I think that might be one of the pieces of Trevor's puzzle that he really needed was the guidance by Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Trevor's an amazing talent.
Absolutely.
And to see him now with that, the guidance of that Johnny Campbell Racing Honda team, you know, they've got so much experience. Johnny's been a champion for so many years. And, you know, I've seen what he's done firsthand with Chris Bach and helping out his mindset. And here we are now at the mile 6, and we've got Ricky Russell in the lead. And that's one of the is that Tyler Medaglia possibly?
That might be, because it's not Sipes.
Yeah, that's we'll have to see when they check in here. I don't have a rider list in front of me, but I believe that is Medaglia. And there we see Andrew DeLong. Now, the new numbers, it's going to get a little confusing, folks, but Andrew DeLong will be on the number 410 machine. I believe Josh Strang is on the 114 machine.
114.
And then now we've got this glare is just really killing us here. That's possibly Corey Buttrick. It appeared to be there. There was quite a group there coming through. A little tough to tell who these guys are, but we'll get it sorted out here. And they'll be checking in at the finish line in just a few moments. And obviously at that point, we'll be able to tell you exactly who's running in what positions.
At this moment, Johnny, it looks like, just about 22 minutes into this thing. So looks like we're going to have just a few moments before we really get this thing sorted out. Like you said, we're going to get some of the angles figured out here and get some of the ID correct on these guys. But right now,
Jason Thomas just came by. Now, that's another rider who was last year our XC2 champion. This year is racing the XC1 class, but he's doing that aboard a 250cc four-stroke machine, so technically his machine is an XC2 machine, but he's racing it in the XC1 class. Jason's more comfortable on the smaller bore machine, and that's what he chose to come out and debut his XC1, return to XC1 and do that on the 250cc 4-stroke.
Seen various riders do it over the years. Seen Thad Duvall do it from time to time. Saw Shane Watts always ride a small bike in the Premier class. So we'll see how that works out.
And there is Craig DeLong, I believe. Yep, that is Craig. I think that might have been the leader or possibly second in our XC2 class. Yeah, we'll get, you can see how rough the track's getting there. They're showing us the whoops and the ruts. And let's see, that's one of the XC2 guys on a Husky. Yeah, we're having a tough time reading the numbers, but we'll get it figured out here, folks. It's we're dealing with the sunshine. For those of you up home in the northern states, it's sunny 75 here. There's Trevor Bollinger, I believe that is, as he works his way through. Looks like he might be third in the XC2 class, and now we see some more of our XC2 riders following their way through. You can see these sand berms just exploding. These guys hard on the gas, and this track's just going to continue to get rougher and rougher.
Johnny, although it looks the same, there was a lot of new property added to the plantation. Did you notice anything really different out there, or some sections that were maybe a little tighter, more technical, or was there another high-speed section that wasn't there before?
Yeah, you know, the track layout was different this year. Obviously, we've got a new trail boss this year with Jeff Russell kind of teaching the ropes to Ryan Eccles.
Yep.
Barry Hawk moving on, and he actually, we'll see him out and about throughout the day. He's the team manager for the Coastal Racing team, so Ryan Sipes and Craig DeLong and Lane Michael riding under his tutelage. You know, the track was great. It had a good flow to it. But like you said, it kind of had an almost unfamiliar feeling, even though we raced here last year, because of the fact that there were some new sections. We had, obviously, we're in Florida, so we've got a lot of sugar sand. But the unique thing about Palatka here is there's a lot of that black sand that actually packs up and gets square edged. And then over on the, I guess it would be the southwest side of the property, there's, here we go, the 8-mile marker. Ricky Russell's still in the lead, looking over his shoulder. And you got to wonder if Ricky Russell's thinking, man, is this really happening right now? Because I'll be honest, Ricky has not had a great offseason. He's struggled a little bit in some of the tune-up races for this. You know, by my account at least, I watch online, I see the results, and I feel like Ricky's capable of doing exactly what he's doing right now, which is getting out front and dropping the hammer. But the way he's looking over his shoulder, I think he's surprised himself a bit.
It's probably almost surreal to him right now. But I can tell you, watch the way he's letting the bike move, Johnny. Watch the way he's letting the bike drift a little side to side. That guy's relaxed and loose right now, which I find a little surprising because I figure he'd be awful tight being up there in the lead.
You know, Ricky's one of those tall, lanky riders, and he lets the bike flow underneath him. Those long legs are really going to come into play today, especially on a day as rough as this track is going to get. He's going to use those legs like an extra shock absorber. You know, he's going to have that little bit of extra flow. Now we see Caleb Russell. Looks like he's made the pass on, is that DeLong?
Looks like DeLong.
It's either DeLong or Strang, it's hard to tell, but Russell making the pass, so it looks like he's up into the top 5 now. And look at that train of riders behind him.
Wow.
Those guys are just nose to tail. I believe that was Chris Bach at the end of that train, so that would put him probably 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. DeLong coming through the shot there. It looked like we saw Strang. I believe Thad Duvall we saw in there. So there's Stu Baylor on that SRT ride, the number 514 KTM. Stu's looking a little bit different this year. Got a different look, different gear sponsor. You know, again, it's one of those things today. Everybody's new. It's got a new look, new feel. So we should be now starting to keep an eye out. There's Jason Thomas, another one of our XC1 riders. Again, our 2015. Oh, he's shaking his arm out. You got to think he's got that arm pump going. He's our 2015 XC2 Lights champion, has moved up to the XC1 class. And we should be seeing some XC2 riders kind of file their way through. I think the heavy hitters in that class are going to be Nick Davis, Jesse Grom, and is that Grom there?
That's the beta, isn't it?
That is a beta.
Yep.
That may, in fact, and that was green plates.
Yeah.
So that was Jesse Grom, I believe. It's one of the beta riders, and he is the leader in the XC2 class. Here's second place in XC2, and that is Craig DeLong. So DeLong, after that early hole shot, hanging tough. Just on the heels of Jesse Grom, we believe it is. And we should be seeing, there's our third place in XC2. Can't see who that was. We'll have to work with these camera guys to get a little better clarity on these shots, making it. There's Trevor Bollinger, so I think that's 4th in XC2. So we've got our top 3 or 4 in XC2 and about our top 8 or 9 through in XC1. So these guys are putting a pretty blistering pace in here early, considering they have not yet completed a lap, and we've got 3 hours of action to go.
You know, that's the same place we saw Ricky Russell looking over his shoulder right there, where Trevor comes through. I wonder if there's a ditch or if there's something there.
There is Nick Davis. That's our 5th place rider in XC2. No, there's actually not. There's not a ditch there or anything that I'm aware of, but So, sorry, we're having a little bit of feedback through the headsets here, and can't actually hear.
Have the bikes running so close to us, Johnny, and affects
it's not working
affects the feed sometimes. But you want to be talking. So
okay.
So it affects the feed sometimes. But I tell you, that lead group's going to be working their way back past us right now. One thing I want to ask you, Johnny, a lot of blisters this morning on the podiums this morning. That affect you any yesterday? Did you do anything different for the hands?
Yeah, actually, I'm not a rider that normally gets any blisters, but yesterday I did get one blister just on my index finger on my left hand, and I think a lot of it was just the fact of the track is so rough. And, you know, you get that, actually, this is something you don't ever think of, but the sand actually gets inside your gloves, it gets inside your pants, it gets inside your jersey, and it becomes abrasive, so it's really tough on the hands. I did get some blisters yesterday, just 2 little ones, nothing major. But, you know, a lot of these guys, not our XC1 and XC2 guys, but especially when you look back through the amateur ranks. Here we see the VP Fuels Pro Row. These guys are hammered down, and that looks like Andrew DeLong, the number 410, working his way by. We see the AmPro Yamaha mechanics looking down. Looks like Daniel Milner. Last we saw, he was in 4th place. Don't know who that is in the blue fly gear. I do see that is Chris Bach in the high-vis gear. Looks like Thad Duvall, Josh Strang. We saw some other riders checking through, and we can see the dust kicking up. There really hasn't been much rain. Now here we come. Oh, these guys are getting a little aggressive. Appears to be Caleb Russell having words with somebody there. So here we have Grant Baylor coming in for fresh goggles. Looks like he's got some tree limbs hanging off his GoPro there. So Grant a little bit further back. He was even further back when we saw him, so he's on the charge already. And we do know that Grant's a rider that comes on very strong later in the race. So if he's an eye shot of these guys, there's a good chance that he's going to work his way up there and interject himself into this battle.
You know, he has that ability to find that target, to find that guy at the end of the race and really make the move and really bring the heat at the later stages, more so than a lot of the riders out there, Johnny. So watch for him in the later stages of this race, no doubt about it. He's a guy's going to hang around back there, watch for mistakes, and wait for his time.
Look at this. Here we go, Matt. We've got Jason Thomas continuing to shake out his arms, obviously fighting arm pump. So now we wait and we watch. There was Jesse Grom on camera. He was working his way by. This looks like the battle. These are the leaders. There's Ricky Russell. We saw Andrew DeLong. So those are our leaders. We're not sure who's actually leading this race right now. There's Milner. Again, not sure who that is in the blue fly gear there. And then we've got Chris Bach. I can tell by the riding style. It looks like Ryan Sipes.
Probably Sipes there.
We've got Baylor in with that group. There's another one of the Suzuki, so possibly Chris Douglas up in there. Here's Caleb Russell now. He has fallen back. We did see him pull into the pit area, and look how dirty Caleb is. Caleb obviously has found his way to the bottom of one of these mud holes. He was soaked, his jersey all the way up to his neck. There is Grant Baylor now. So Grant back on the gas after that little bit of a lengthy pit stop for some fresh goggles.
I tell you, you mentioned Caleb's gear. He obviously went down in the first turn. No mud out there whatsoever, so something's happened somewhere on that first lap. Maybe it shows the same line as Lane Michael, but something has happened. He's took a drink somewhere.
Yeah, we've got Stu Baylor now. He worked his way by. The next rider we should be seeing should be our XC. Oh, there's Jason Thomas, and then after him we should have what we believe is Jesse Grom, the leader of the XC2 class on that beta machine. And then we've got Craig DeLong, and there is Grom, possibly. Man, it's so tough. These guys to pick them out with their new gear, new rides, new numbers, and we can't see the numbers, so it's making it a little bit tougher. But, again, we're at the 8-mile marker. This is about an 11-mile track, I believe, give or take. Yeah. And these guys should be checking in here within just a few moments. There is Craig DeLong. We believe that's our second-place rider in XC2. Craig riding very well. I actually have had the opportunity to ride with him quite a bit this winter. He's been staying over at the Boar compound there in Daytona, along with his older brother Andrew and Nick Davis. So it's always cool. We got to do a little bit of riding with. There's Trevor Bollinger. Looks like he would be third now in XC2. It's always cool to get to ride with these guys and do some training and kind of see how everybody's programs are. Again, here comes our leaders. So it is Andrew DeLong with the early lead. And I do not know who that was in second, but if we refresh our screen here, it should tell us. And there's Chris Bach working his way through. Andrew DeLong, Tyler Medaglia, Ricky Russell, Daniel Milner, Josh Strang are your top 5, followed by Garrett Edmonston. That's who that other Yamaha was. He's got a new ride there's Chris Douglas now working his. we've got the Ride MPS and Fly Bonsai engine. So he's riding for that Bonsai team.
Yep.
I heard from a good friend of his that he just picked that ride up on Monday of this week. So he's in 6th, Chris Bach in 7th, Ryan Sipes in 8th, Jordan Ashburn 9th. Or Ashburn, that's another rider with a new ride.
Right.
We forgot to talk about him. Thad Duvall in 10th, Chris Douglas 11th, and Caleb Russell pulling out 11th place after a lengthy pit stop, a crash in the first turn, and being what we can only assume is stuck in a mud hole. So he's got some work to do. He's actually quite a little ways down here at a 32.56 for our leader, Andrew DeLong, and Caleb Russell with the 33.32. So that puts him about 36 seconds behind our leader. So certainly an attainable gap, but he needs to get on the gas and get up in the fight if he wants to battle for this win later today.
No question about it. And, you know, he's got the ability to do that. We've seen it happen before. We've seen the guy get up dead last, make the charge, work his way through the pack. But something looks just a little bit different right now. So I'll be curious to watch over the next couple laps and see exactly how the bike reacts and Caleb reacts to it.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot, obviously, in the first race. Now, now we have lost Jesse Grom, possibly. Let's see what we got here as we've got Grant Baylor, Stu Baylor, Jason Thomas, and I'm sorry, Tegan Temple on the beta. That's the 525 machine, all the way up in 6th overall. So my apologies to Tegan there. We missed you. We thought you were Jesse Grom all along. Tegan Temple hard on the gas out of Westchester, Pennsylvania on that factory beta. So Temple in the 6th place overall, leading the XC2 Pro Lights. 2nd place in the XC2 Pro Lights is Craig DeLong. Sorry, it was showing Chris Douglas, I thought, there in XC2. So we've got 2 XC2 riders checked in for the moment. And now we've got our 3rd place, Trevor Bollinger, 16th place overall, 3rd in the XC2 Lights class. And now we've got our XC2 riders starting to check in here.
Yeah, things are getting sorted just a bit now, Johnny. These guys are finding a pace of deciding where they want to ride, how fast they want to go. And I could tell you a couple surprises in this top 15 right now. We take a close look at this, going to see some names in some places we weren't expecting. And I tell you, I'm glad to see Garrett Edmonston up here making it happen, putting together a new effort this year, coming out here fresh almost, just getting things put together last minute. Here this guy is running 7th place right now.
Yeah, you know, the couple surprises, let's just run down them here real quick, Matt. We've got, obviously, Tyler Medaglia. We know he's fast, but for him to come out here and run just actually, let's start one higher up than that.
Shocker.
If we had to guess who was going to lead the first lap in Florida, you know, Andrew DeLong's been riding very well, but he would not have been at the top of my list to lead lap 1. You know, for him to come out and do what he's doing, that's a little bit of a shocker. You know, if he can keep that pace up for the rest of the day today, that's impressive. Our top 3, who would have guessed that? DeLong, Medaglia, and Russell, but not Caleb. Ricky Russell in 3rd place, and Daniel Milner in 4th. We've got the usual suspects kind of start at 5th on back. Josh Strang, we expected him to be up there. Sure, he's right there, but he's in 5th. Then we've got Garrett Edmonston in 6th in XC1, but Tegan Temple in 1st place in XC2 is 6th overall. So Tegan Temple hard on the gas early. Would not have expected that. Would not have expected Andrew DeLong to lead the first lap. Tyler Medaglia in 2nd and Ricky Russell 3rd. You know, everything is just so shaken up right now. It's an exciting start to 2016, that's for sure.
I can guarantee you this, Johnny Gallagher. You and I would make predictions last year before the race. I will promise you those 3 names would not have come into play with you and I's prediction. I will promise you that. And I couldn't be more pumped. When you mentioned Ricky Russell earlier, it did. It made the hair stand up on my. I want to see good racing. I want to see a variety of riders. And you know what? There's 10 guys here that can win.
Oh,
There's
sure.
10 guys here that have that ability. And right now, man, this is probably the most exciting racing we've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, you know, the action is furious here early, and it's been really intense how things have been sorting their way out. We're going to be joined by Rodney Tomlin here in just a moment. It's, you know, Rodney was up there calling the action on the starts. It started early in the very first turn, that XC1 race. Caleb Russell on the ground. Ryan Sipes with the whole shot. Things just got thrown up in the air, and it was one of those deals where we'll see where they land 3 hours later. And here we are now, 38 minutes, 40 seconds into the racing action. We're waiting for our leaders at the 5-mile marker. We'll see them again there. And we've seen some furious action at this 5-mile marker already. Again, Lane Michael, one of our top XC2 riders, buried his machine, drowned it out. So crazy stuff going on, Matt. I think you're going to go out and get some action from the pits. We'll be checking in with you here in a bit. Rodney Tomlin's going to jump in your seat and take over the lead.
Johnny, we'll catch up with you just shortly. Here you go, Rodney. Step on in here and take over.
So as we wait for Rodney to check in here, as we'll run down the top 10 overall. Actually, we'll run through the top 20 overall. We've got Andrew DeLong leading the way on that factory Husqvarna, first place in XC1. Tyler Medaglia second in XC1, second overall. Ricky Russell, third place overall, third place in XC1. Fourth place overall is Daniel Milner out of the XC1 class. Josh Strang, fifth place overall, again, that factory Husker machine. Tegan Temple, our leader in our XC2 class, is sixth overall. Garrett Edmonston, a local Florida boy, 7th overall and 6th in XC1. Chris Bach, 8th overall, 7th in XC1. Ryan Sipes, 9th overall, 8th in XC1. 10th overall is Jordan Ashburn back on that, I believe, Westfield Power Sports KTM, if I'm not mistaken. He's got a new ride there this season, so he's back and he's out to prove something. Rodney, you're joining in. How about this first lap? It sure has been exciting already.
It most certainly has. I'm really shocked and amazed, impressed, and just elated at what's taking place, man. I mean, you couldn't have hyped the race up any better to get something like this kind of scenario going in the early part of the race. Two of your top contenders down in the first turn, the last two guys out of the first turn trying to chase down the field. That's excitement in and of itself, I think. And to watch these guys go at it like this is just unbelievable as far as I'm concerned. And, you know, last year there was times we'd seen Caleb Russell go down, and he was already at the front of the pack by the time they reached the end of the first lap or so. At the end of this first lap, now obviously, well, I guess it is a 30-some minute lap. He's all the way back in 14th place still. Ryan Sipes has only made it up to 9th right now. You got to wonder if maybe there might be some sort of an issue because there's not a lot of seconds in between these positions as we go down through until you get to about the 11th or 12th place position. Then you see a 25-second gap, another 8-second gap, and then it's another 4 seconds back to Caleb Russell. So he's not only in 13th or 14th place right now, but he's got a big gap now just to get to the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rodney, what you didn't see because you weren't in the booth here was we did get some coverage. Caleb Russell actually stopped for quite a lengthy pit stop there when he was in. Looked like he got some fresh goggles. And also, Caleb is the only rider we've seen so far. We know he was down in the first turn, but that was dry sand. Caleb is covered from his shoulders all the way down. He's completely covered in wet water or wet mud. So obviously he's either been down or he's submarined himself in one of those holes. But the machine sounds like it's running fine. It looks like he was on the gas in the open section. So he's probably just angry, frustrated, and got some wet gloves.
Yeah, here we are. I mean, we're at just under 42 minutes now into this race. So he's still got about an hour, 2 hours and 20 minutes to recoup. So that's one thing he as a champion should be able to remember and build on as this race progresses. But regardless, we'll see how well that all pans out for him. But and not only him, but I mean, there's still a lot of things. You got Andrew DeLong up front, Tyler Medaglia in second, rough and rowdy Ricky Russell back in the XC1 Pro class, grabbing a whole shot in third, Milner in fourth, Josh Strang rounding out the top 5. Of course, we're going to get it all sorted out and see how the rest of this race unfolds when we return on RacerTV.com's GNCC.
Maxxis Tires. CST Tires.
I've been with Leatt for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
Daytona International Speedway is synonymous with four-wheeled action, but getting airborne on four wheels, well, that's a new experience. Come check it out on Tuesday afternoon with the second annual Fly Racing ATV Supercross right here at Daytona International Speedway. Come watch high flyers like defending series champion Chad Wienen, challengers like Joel Hetrick, Thomas Brown, and Jeff Rastrelli, and last year's Supercross winner John Natale this Tuesday right here at Daytona.
We got him. Hello from the other side.
welcome back to GNCC Live. 45 minutes now into this race in Palatka, Florida is where we're from. And, of course, it's round 1 of the AMSOIL GNCC Series. You're watching and in tune to the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. And I'll tell you, Johnny Gallagher here along with me, Rodney Tomlin, also Megawatt Matt Watson out and about. Have some pretty interesting things going on out here, man. Like we said, Caleb Russell going down in that first turn and everything, but another rider that went down with him was Ryan Sipes. You know, a lot of folks are looking toward Ryan Sipes to possibly be a contender, especially with the new ride that he's got, that great support from Team Husky and the Coastal Racing team, and not only that, but his successes at the ISDE. So a lot of folks are looking for a lot of big things out of him, and we had a chance to catch up with him before the race got underway today. Talking about Ryan Sipes.
Last year I came into here maybe hyping up a little bit too much, and because I knew I was fast and I knew where I wanted to be, and I just crashed my brains out. I crashed about 6 times, and so that's the goal here, is to maybe stay on the bike a little bit more and, you know, just be solid. If I don't win, I'm not going to be upset. I just want to be solid. I know where I belong, so I'll be up there. It should be good. Just looking to stay on the motorcycle.
Well, there you go. He comes into it realistically. I think that, you know, in a short amount of time, Johnny, I think that Ryan Sipes has learned quite a bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a completely different mindset, I'm sure, coming into this race than last year. You know, last year it was his rookie season. I mean, he'd run some GNCCs in the past, but never campaigned a full season. So for him last year to come out swinging like he did, I mean, he was so fast the first couple rounds, but you know, as we saw, it seemed like he just kept running into issues. We got to see him go down on camera here last year. He had a pretty gnarly crash right in front of our RacerTV cameras. Was able to get up and ride away from it, but you know, we've talked so much about the hype coming into this race. Obviously, everybody being a champion today, everybody having an equal opportunity at the points lead until this race is over. But one thing I can tell you for sure, and everybody that's ever raced or ever talked about racing knows this: you can't win a race on the first lap, but you can lose it. You can't win a championship in the first race, but you can lose it. So anybody that comes out of here with a solid race, whether it's top 5, top 10, even a solid top 20 finish and scores some points, is way ahead of somebody who comes out of here with nothing. You know, you can't come in here, you can't hurt your machine, you can't hurt yourself. So to hear Sipes say that, that's obviously some newfound maturity. He's been racing his entire life. He knows the mental side of racing, but now not only does he know that, he knows all the ins and outs of GNCC racing. So certainly he's going to be a threat not only here today, but throughout the season.
You're absolutely right, Johnny, and that's exactly the word that I was going to use, threat. He is certainly going to be a huge threat for everybody out there on the track trying to take those wins, because he's got his sights set on winning, and I don't think he's going to settle for much less than that. So we're going to see a lot of great things out of him. You know, we're talking about surprises and everything. How about this? How about this surprise right here? Tegan Temple leading the XC2 Pro Lights class, the 525. And that may not be as much of a surprise as anything, but he's all the way up to 6th place. And that's pretty impressive for Tegan. You know, that's a name that we really, well, we're just now seeing actually make his way into that XC2 Pro-Am class, or Pro Lights class, and starting to make his way up in the upper echelons of it.
Yeah, we've seen Tegan Temple on the XC2 podium a few times last season in 2015. He was riding a KTM. He had a support ride with KTM. This year, he's got a factory beta ride, and he's starting off like a bullet.
Yeah.
He obviously got a good start, got to the front there, and he's really dropped the hammer in that XC2 class and pulled a little bit of a gap over Craig DeLong.
Exactly.
While we're talking about surprises, Megawatt and I had already mentioned Andrew DeLong leading lap 1 in the XC1 class. Obviously, Andrew DeLong a few years ago was a dominant force, almost at times unstoppable in the XC2 class, you know, and then he got that factory Husqvarna ride, won a National Enduro Championship. Really seemed that maybe his focus had changed to the National Enduros, and he's really, I don't want to use the word struggled, but he's definitely had his difficulties with GNCC the last few seasons with injuries and just kind of finding his groove. I know he's worked really hard this winter. He's got a new trainer. That Factory Husky program has really worked hard to get his bike dialed in for him. He's made a machine switch. Last year he was on the 350cc Husky. This year he's back on the 450. He thinks it fits him better. And so far it seems to be working with him leading the way on that somewhat unfamiliar number 410.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of unfamiliar numbers. Here comes our leaders coming through the mud hole right there today, and there is DeLong.
And look at that. Now, we saw, I think Lane Michael was being directed through a hole there a little bit ago and got just a foot over from where he was directed to go, and he got it buried up and lost a lot of time. But these guys right here look like they're just skimming across the top of that water.
There's DeLong, and I believe that is Josh Strang, who's now moved into the second place spot. And we see it looks like Chris Bach now up to fourth. I'm not sure who that was in third. Can't miss Bach on that JCR Honda with the really bright fly racing gear. Those guys debuting their 2017 stuff. We see Medaglia working his way through. Look like one of the Yamaha riders. We see... Yeah,
right,
Caleb should be a little ways back, but we've got some of our
to...
other XC1 guys. I'm assuming we saw Daniel Milner work his way through. We should have seen possibly Garrett Edmonstein. I believe that was him in the blue fly riding gear. They've got that all solid blue. Now here we see Grant Baylor. Now Caleb Russell was behind Grant Baylor at the last time they checked in. Or I'm sorry, Grant was behind Caleb. So we'll have to see if Caleb was able to... maybe he worked his way up into that group that we couldn't see as they were coming through in the shadows.
Right. I'm not sure there. I know he had quite a bit of a gap back, and if he made up that gap, which is not unlikely for Caleb Russell to be able to do if he finds that open field to be able to do it. Let's see. We got another rider coming through, and that might be him. Yep,
that
is
Caleb Russell.
Wow.
So he's ways back.
Well over a minute behind that lead pack right now, or close to it. About a minute and 45 seconds back now is what calculations are being told right now. So that, wow, that is a major surprise, and that puts the champ behind the 8-ball, and what a lot of people didn't expect to see. I know a lot of folks, an unknown variable with him coming into. There's Chris Douglas coming through now, and that is Stu Baylor, the 514. So
I think that might have actually been Ricky Russell that came through there. I think he might have dropped his way back.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong. I couldn't tell if that was the number 22 or the number 212.
Oh,
Those numbers are so close. It could have been. I could definitely be wrong.
It looks
there we
right.
see Tegan Temple, I believe. There's our leader of the XC2 class.
And he had,
looked like he might have been right on Jason Thomas. I'm not sure who that was. I think it was Thomas. He was on that black. And here we see Trevor Bollinger. So it looks like he may now be the new second-place rider in that XC2 class where it was Craig DeLong. Bollinger may have worked his way past Craig DeLong.
How about that right there, man? The JCR Honda team there for that second-place ride there. Just amazes me, Trevor Bollinger, what he's been able to, and what he should be able to do with that particular ride.
Yeah, Craig DeLong looks like he might have looped his machine out. He's got the rear fender pointing straight up. It looks like he's got his flag out for mail to come in. And here's his brother, Andrew DeLong, leading the way. Look at this guy go. He's a man on a mission. He's got the lead, and he's making dust. Looks like maybe his teammate there in second. Medaglia third. Looks like it was – oh, there's Medaglia. So we've got another Husky rider in third. Maybe that's Thad Duvall. Could it be? No, Duvall was all the way back in 11th, but anything's possible. There's Ricky Russell. So that was – Chris Douglas that we saw a little further back. There's Duvall. There's Milner. And now we've just got dust. Garrett Edmondson looks like it was the last rider. We've got Price in the booth calling out shots. He can see a little better than we can. So we're having a little bit of a struggle identifying these guys. But again, in just a few moments, we are at the 6-mile marker. We'll see him again at the 8. And then, again, we will see him at the finish line. We know that's Grant Baylor. He's on the charge, working his way up through. He has passed Caleb Russell, who he was behind when they checked in at the end of completion of lap 1. So now he's worked his way up. So we'll assume that that is Grant, that is now probably somewhere around the 13th place or 12th place. And we should be seeing our XC2 riders checking in here momentarily, along with Caleb Russell, who, again, has really lost a lot of time here early and struggling to try and find his composure to come back. But here he is on the gas, and it looks like he's trying to do just that.
I know a lot of folks wondering, probably a lot like myself, and I certainly hope that Megawatt finds his way down to the KTM pits to find out what kind of issues they had to try to rectify down there for Caleb, what he's battling against right now, because I know probably, I have a feeling that some folks are probably saying it's tough for him coming off of that surgery and this and that, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's not the case at all. Caleb's probably more fit and in better shape than he ever has been in his life, and I can tell you right now, he's in better shape than he ever has been in an opening round.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I had the opportunity to ride with Caleb quite a bit this winter. He's 100% physically, and definitely is. It's not a knee issue unless it was possibly something that he tweaked when he went down to that first turn. But again, he is one of the few guys we've seen that's completely covered in water. So now we've got Tegan Temple has worked his way around Jason Thomas. So there is the XC2 leader and then last year's XC2 Lights champion, who's now in our XC1 class. So Temple still leading the way. Next, we should see Trevor Bollinger on that number 10 JCR Honda.
I gotta point out something about Jason Thomas. You know, you're sitting there and you think, well, the boy seems to be struggling or whatever. There's Bollinger making his way. He's closing up that gap on second place. But quickly, about a week ago, Jason Thomas had gone down to Mexico to race one of the extreme off-road motorcycle races, literally fell off a cliff and took a nap for about 3 hours, he said, before they finally came along and found him on the trail. And he's a little shaken up still this week, but he says he's going to go out and ride. Even though he's sore and everything, he still has a commitment to his sponsors and to the GNCC to be here.
Sure, and I think he'll find his legs in that XC1 class again. If he's coming off of an injury and kind of a rough week, obviously this track is grueling, this race is grueling, and there's so much hype coming into round one. You just got to get out there and get it behind you, and, you know, here we go, Andrew DeLong out at the 8-mile marker. Now, this is the field section just on the opposite side from where the start is, and man, does Andrew look good. He looks really comfortable on the bike. He's flowing the corners, and normally we refer to Andrew as kind of a bull in a china shop. He charges his way through things and breaks everything he can reach, but today he's really just kind of flowing, and you can see takes a casual look over and see where the competition's at. Just keep charging forward, buddy. The race is not behind you, it's in front of you. See how quick you can get yourself to the completion of lap 2.
You know what always amazes me about Andrew DeLong is the fact that, you know, I do the pre-race reports on VP Fuels Row, and the Dunlop pre-race report today, again, like always, whenever you talk to Andrew, man, you never can really gauge how that guy's feeling when you talk to him because he always seems so down. I mean, when you talk to him, you're like, okay, are you sure you want to be here and go riding today, Andrew? Yeah, you know, I feel kind of. But, man, he goes out there, and it's like a totally different person when he kicks that motorcycle over and that motor starts. It's a whole different guy.
Yeah, you know, Andrew's he's an interesting character. You know, he really did kind of come to GNCC late in age and in his career. He'd run a lot of East Coast enduro stuff and just kind of played with some GNCCs here and there, and then he picked up that ride, just kind of, he was doing some GNCCs on his own, just out of his little box trailer on a KTM 252 stroke, and Fred Andrews saw some talent in him, and I believe it would have been 2011 or 2012, offered him a tryout ride at the Ironman GNCC. He came out, did pretty decent, but struggled a little bit, and then came out the very next race when we had the doubleheader at Loretta Lynn's. And if you remember one of those iconic Andrew DeLong moments, there we see Caleb Russell. Woo, it looks like 1 minute and 50 seconds behind the leader, Andrew DeLong. But again, as you notice, Caleb's jersey is soaking wet and flapping around there. So he obviously had some issues on that first lap. But again, back to DeLong, he actually won, won that race at Loretta's that year, one of the 2 days. He won it with no fenders left on his machine. Front fender gone, rear fender gone, helmet visor gone. That's Andrew DeLong style. He doesn't care. He just twists it. And I think Andrew, as much as I hate to say this, I think he got away from that the last couple of years. He started thinking too much about bike setup, started thinking too much about training. And Andrew's just a good old boy that wants to go out and go fast. And I've seen a lot of that in him in this winter. He seems to be having fun again. And he said, you know what? I'm getting back to the basics. I'm lucky to be able to be out here doing this for a living, making a living, riding my dirt bike. He said, I've got a great team behind me. I've got a great bike. I've got a great family. Obviously, his fiancée, Angelina, they'll be getting married about this time next year. And, you know, he seemed excited coming into round one. And, you know, I expected for him to have a good race. I did not expect for him to be pulling away and leading after 2 laps of racing.
We're at
8-mile marker.
8-mile marker, Tegan Temple there, your leader of the XC2 Pro Lights class, making his way through. We are about 7 minutes out from seeing our leaders check in at the finish line right now. And, man, what a nice open field shot there. We got a chance to watch Caleb Russell drive across that. There's second place.
That gap is tightening up.
Yeah, it is. I'm telling you, this is a new life in this program. A year ago, for Bollinger, Trevor Bollinger was, you know, he had what seemed like such good things going on, but
look at that. Craig DeLong is now charged back up to the back of Bollinger. So those guys are hard on the gas, both in pursuit of Tegan Temple. But I can't believe how hard Craig DeLong was on the gas through there. He's another rider that, you know, had some podiums last year but also had his struggles. He's got new life breathed into him with that Coastal program, hard on the gas. And now we see another one of our XC2 riders, not exactly sure who that is. Here we go, VP Fuels Pro Row.
All right, looks like we got some pit stops going on right now. Andrew DeLong pulling in pit stop, gas, goggles, and looks like we got our JCR guys. Medaglia, Strang, Bach all in. Now this is pretty interesting to see how closely together these guys are rolling into the pits like this. Bag coming in also, I believe, into the KR4 Rocky Mountain ATVMC pits. And Andrew DeLong, first one out, and back on the gas. I can't tell whether
that was Josh Strang in second, Chris Bach in third. Bach had gotten around, I believe, Medaglia. Now we see Milner working his way through. Doesn't look like he's going to make a pit this lap. So they had a water bottle out for him, and he kept going. Now we see another one of the Huskies, possibly Thad Duvall, working his way through. That is a lapped rider there. So we've got our top 6 or 7 already through the VP Fuel Pro Rows. It looked like just about everybody stopped except for possibly Milner. So Milner must be on that 3-lap rotation. There we see Grant Baylor now as he comes by. He did not make a stop either. So the Ampro Yamaha guys, neither one of them stopped at the completion of lap 2. So they must be on a 3-lap stretch. They're going to try and do this this race possibly with only 1 stop. If they can do 1 more lap, they may be able to get that done with only 1 fuel stop instead of the 2 that the rest of these riders are going to have to make that have already pitted.
Yeah, I can't wait to get Megawatt Matt Watson down into the pits to talk to some of these teams, man, because as closely knit as these guys are right now, you know there's got to be a lot of excitement and a lot of anticipation for these guys, and you know that JCR Honda's got to be pretty pumped up right now. Caleb was he asking for goggles? What was he doing? Man, I'll be honest with you. I'm thinking that maybe when he went down, something might have happened to that bike because it does not seem to be handling properly. And I don't think it's goon riding for him or not. I don't think it's goon riding. I don't think it's anything out of shape. I think it's just something maybe gone wrong. Megawatt Matt Watson standing by down in the pits. What's going on, buddy?
So we've got Megawatt Watson. He's out there giving us an update. It's not playing through our PA system. It is playing through to our headset here. But we've got some more XC2 riders now working their way. It looks like Tegan Temple is now through the VP Fuels Pro Row. And Jason Thomas also looks like possibly Chris Douglas now. And we're still waiting on our second place ride of Trevor Bollinger and our third place Craig DeLong, those XC2 riders. We've got Temple now in for fuel, and he is back out. Caleb Russell now out at the 8-mile marker, so we're kind of bouncing around here. We've got some guys in VP Fuels Pro Row. Caleb nearly clipping that tough block. This isn't Supercross. Caleb Russell nearly clipping that hay bale. Something definitely amiss with Caleb right now. Not only is he quite a bit behind, but we saw him. He missed that corner in the VP Fuels Pro Row while he was signaling that he wanted goggles, then nearly clipped that large round bale in the open field. So don't know if that's something with his machine or he's just a little bit disheveled from the rough first lap he had. But we need to see Caleb if he can gain his composure and go back after these leaders, as he currently sits outside the top 15 overall and losing time rapidly. So he's definitely struggling a bit. Now we see our leaders checking in, and it is Josh Strang who's taken over the lead, and Chris Bach now into the second place position, Andrew DeLong in third, and that looks to be Tyler Medaglia in fourth. So the top 4 riders nose to tail as they check through, all within the same second. Our 5th place ride that's Jordan Ashburn on the Westfield Power Sports KTM. Garrett Edmonston on the Bonsai Yamaha. Looks like Daniel Milner possibly, or Ryan Sipes, as we're trying to get the computer to update here. It is Medaglia, Ashburn, Edmonston, Sipes up to the 7th place position, Milner in 8th. And now we've got some more riders checking in. We see Grant Baylor has made up a bunch of time. He was nearly a minute back, and now he's probably less than 30 seconds as we refresh our screen here. So we'll run down the top 10 for you. We've actually got 9 riders checked in. So we've got Josh Strang, Chris Bach, Andrew DeLong, Tyler Medaglia, Jordan Ashburn, Garrett Edmondstein, Ryan Sipes, 8th place is Daniel Milner, Grant Baylor, and Thad Duvall rounding out the top 10. So we have lost Ricky Russell from this lead group. He was our early leader on lap 1, was overtaken by Andrew DeLong, who led the best part of, he was the best part of 2 laps that was led by Andrew DeLong, and now he has dropped back to 3rd place, but right on the rear wheel of Chris Bach, who's been working his way up through this pack since the start. So again, running through the top 10, it's Strang, Bach, DeLong, Medaglia, Ashburn, Edmonston, Sipes, Milner, Baylor, Duvall. Now we see Caleb Russell checking in. That should put him in 11th place. So he's 11th place in the XC2 class, but as our XC1 class, but as our XC2 riders check in, we're going to see Caleb likely drop down a little bit in the overall standings. Now we see Ricky Russell checking in, so that'll put him 12th place in XC2. A little bit of a rough lap for him. We can see by his lap time, he was about a minute slower than he was the lap before and a minute slower than Josh Strang. So Josh Strang checking in with a 29-minute, 51-second lap time. So that's basically right at a 30-minute lap, showing us that we're going to have probably a 6-lap race here. So some of these guys that are making it all the way around, we saw the AmPro Yamaha guys of Daniel Milner and Grant Baylor. Neither of those two have pitted yet. So they're going to, if provided that they make it back to VP Fuels Pro Row, they should be able to make this entire race on just one fuel stop, making it an hour and a half on the first tank of fuel and then an hour and a half on the second tank. Now we see Jason Thomas checking in. That should be 12th in our XC1 class. And Chris Douglas, 13th in the XC1 class. There's Tegan Temple, our leader in XC2 on the factory beta. Hot on his heels, though, Craig DeLong has worked his way up to 2nd. And it looks like Temple, he goes wide, but DeLong not able to make the pass. So DeLong still 2nd in XC2. Now here we see Trevor Bollinger, 3rd in XC2. Look like he did stop for fuel, and he's got a water bottle hanging there. So he stopped for a drink, and he's just about, looks like he's 15 seconds behind Craig DeLong in 3rd place there in that XC2 class. So those guys dropped down quite a bit in the overall standings. We had Tegan Temple, who was 6th overall on the end of that first lap, is now all the way back to 12th. So it looks like our XC2 guys, including Caleb Russell, have really wicked up the pace quite a bit. So we see Caleb Russell with a 31:24 lap time. He was about 30 seconds off the pace of our leader. Josh Strang turning in a 29:51. So these guys are really hard on the gas here, and Strang kind of came out of nowhere to take the lead over. He's been hanging back there in 4th or 5th place throughout the first 2 laps, now striking at the end of lap 2 to take over the lead. We've got some more XC2 riders checking in. So far we've seen our top 3 check in, and 4th place now checking in is, looks to be Zach Hayes possibly. Yep, Zach Hayes, 19th overall and 4th place in XC2. Looks to be Nick Davis, 5th place in XC2. We expected a little bit more out of Nick early, but he seems to be really struggling. He was up there a little bit earlier and has kind of faded his way back. So now he's back to 5th place in XC2 and 20th overall. 16 seconds behind Zach Hayes, trying to work his way up towards a possible podium in that XC2 class. Got, looks like Scott Grills checking in. He's another one of the riders who has moved up to that XC1 class, I believe based on age. We've got a new rule that came into play for 2016, limiting the age of riders in the XC2 class. So we've seen riders like Jason Thomas, Ricky Russell, and Scott Grills all move up to that XC1 class for advancement. As we check in, we've got some more riders checking in. Looks like as we scroll down through the top 20, so we've got our top 20 riders checked in. Looks like Josh Toth and Ben Kelly have checked in from our XC2 class also. So as we wait for some more riders to check in, we should see our riders over at the 5-mile marker here in just a few moments. We're going to go and check in with a break from some of our sponsors.
Any engine, any season, at home, at the track, or on the trail. AMSOIL for any engine.
Maxxis Tires.
As riders and racers, we understand the need to get quality parts, apparel, and accessories fast. We have the horsepower of multiple warehouses to make sure your gear, OEM parts, or accessories make it to your door quickly. Check out our easy-to-use website and experience customer service that takes the whole shot. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why I
only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
Daytona International Speedway is synonymous with four-wheeled action, but getting airborne on four wheels, well, that's a new experience. Come check it out on Tuesday afternoon with the second annual Fly Racing ATV Supercross right here at Daytona International Speedway. Come watch high flyers like defending series champion Chad Wienen, challengers like Joel Hetrick, Thomas Brown, and Jeff Rastrelli, and last year's Supercross winner John Natale this Tuesday right here at Daytona.
I'm just a lost soul that's made of paper, but your touch can color the white and bring back the beauty into my life.
Welcome back to GNCC Live on RacerTV.com. I'm Johnny Gallagher bringing you the action with my broadcast partner from the Moose, Rodney Tomlin, from the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. Round 1 of GNCC Racing Action 2016 is hot and heavy. We've got so many things happening here already, Rodney. It's exciting stuff. We've got battles in the XC1 class, battles in the XC2 class. These guys are wheel-to-wheel, bar-to-bar, getting the action in here early. We've got Josh Strang leading the way in the XC1 class, Tegan Temple leading the way in the XC2 class. And, man, what an exciting first 2 laps of racing action it has been.
Wow, and walk away for just a moment, Johnny Gallagher, and a lot of things change. Josh Strang on the pressure, Chris Bach putting on some pressure, but only about a second and a half. Well, he's 3 seconds out of the first place position. That's the amazing thing, how tightly knit these guys are at the end of 2 laps in an hour and, say, 12 minutes into this race now. And just still good old-fashioned, old-school GNCC style riding, what we like to see. And we still have a lot of room for things to take place and transpire. But now we are not quite at the halfway point, but here in the next 15 or 20 minutes, about halfway through this lap, we will be reaching the halfway point of the race, Johnny. And at that point, I think that's when we're going to see where the real work went in and where it's all paying off, or who it's paying off for here in the late part of the race. Right now, everything is, I mean, these guys have been working hard. And I know Josh went home over the off-season and everything, but don't think that he rested on his morals any. I know he trained and he worked hard to be where he is and to continue to deserve his ride. We had a chance to catch up with him before the race got underway today.
I just think continue on from the end of last year. We had a good end of run last year. We got the Husqvarna set up good, and now we have a new bike, new frame, so we've got that thing set up good again. So been putting time on it and just racing like I know how to race and that sort of stuff, and I should be able to get some wins and build some points.
Wow, he had a new bike. That looked like Andrew DeLong's bike.
Yeah, well, they're the same. They just have different numbers.
Right.
I'm sure some different suspension settings, but that was, in fact, Andrew DeLong's bike that we looked at there. So don't be confused. Josh Strang is on the number 114 factory Husqvarna 450. Andrew DeLong on the number 410 factory.
But regardless,
Husqvarna
they're teammates, and they basically, like you say, got pretty much the same machine.
Yep, same machine, just different numbers, and I'm sure some different suspension settings and controls. Each of these guys have their own things that make them comfortable on their machine. But, you know, for these guys to come out, obviously set such a blistering pace early. The funny thing is, when's the last time we've seen 4 riders nose to tail an hour and 15 minutes into a GNCC race in the XC1 class?
That's exactly why I said what I said, the old school feel that we've got going on here in this first lap of racing, where these guys are kind of nose to tail. Nobody's really sprinted yet. We have broke the 30-minute mark, and that's pretty impressive considering we're on a 12-mile course out there in a very rough, rugged, sandy, conditions, a lot of roots out there. You got pine roots, you got palmetto roots. I mean, it's gnarly out there. And that's one thing that a lot of people I talked to yesterday and earlier today. Man, it's rough out there. It's rough out there.
You know, honestly, I'm gonna kind of contradict that a little bit. Yesterday, I didn't feel like the track was all that rough. I don't know if it's just my perception of it. I felt like it was choppy. I didn't feel like it was that deep as it has gotten in the past. However, I will say, after this morning's WXC race, the second place finisher in the WXC class and also second place overall, Becca Sheets, I was speaking with her after the race, and she was actually leading late in the race, and she said, buddy, you have no idea. The whoops are so deep. I dropped into one. I don't even know what happened. I knocked myself nearly out. I was there for a couple minutes. By the time I caught my breath, I said, where? And she said, there's whoops that were up to here. And she motioned right about her chest. And I said, come on. And she said, I'm serious. They're so deep. So I guess the bikes, possibly because we haven't had any rain, things are getting deeper. The whoops are getting even deeper, and it's rough out there.
Kind of Ocala-ish almost, if you think about it. But I'll tell you, my friends, are actually Okeechobee, I guess, is what I'm kind of thinking there. I can remember those big woods. But you were talking about the women's race, and Becca had, like you said, a really great race going on. She had problems on that last lap, and, well, one of the old regulars was able to pull through. Casey Martinez took the win. We caught up with her after today's podium.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Racer TV. We're here with this morning's overall winner and WXC winner, Casey Martinez. Casey, another day at the office for you. Taking off this season exactly where we left off last season with a win, so you got to be pumped.
Yeah, I am pumped. You know, start off the season on top is really good and builds my confidence going into the next round. Man, the sand whoops were brutal out there. It was a good race between Becca and I. Went back and forth a couple times. I went down, and she capitalized on my mistake, and then she went down on that last lap, so I was able to capitalize on her mistake. So on that third lap, I went down pretty good. I just backed it off. Once she caught me, I picked it back up. So it was good racing out there, and I had a lot of fun.
Pretty much just a mistake, some traffic, or why'd we hit the ground?
Just a mistake. In the sand whoops, I just got a little squirrely and went into a tree.
Awesome. Very uncharacteristic for you, that's for sure. So congratulations on the overall win here this morning. And you come out of round one with a win, a lot of nice points, and you and the bike are in one piece going into round two.
Yeah, it's good. I'm excited for the year.
Awesome. Congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Megawatt. Matt Watson, and Megawatt's back out and about. I think we got his issues fixed with the microphone. We could hear him here. They just couldn't hear him there over the World Wide Web. But Josh Strain continues to lead. Chris Buck, Andrew DeLong in third. Tyler Medaglia in fourth. Jordan Ashburn is fifth. Evanston is sixth, the Sandman himself. Ryan Sipes, who was down in the first turn with Caleb Russell, is up to seventh place. Caleb Russell still back in 11th, and we've seen him. It looks like he's struggling a little bit, Johnny. And right now, Megawatt Matt Watson standing by in the KTM pits.
Hey, we're down here with KTM team manager Auntie. Auntie, give us a little input on where the standing is with Caleb right now. Any adjustments to the bike need to be made after our first turn incident? Has he taken on water or anything like that?
No, he hasn't stopped yet, other than goggles on the first lap. But now in this coming lap, we're going to stop for gas and probably get to say a couple words. But so far, you know, he hasn't really indicated anything wrong with the bike. I think on the first turn crash, he might have tweaked his knee, his bad knee, so he kind of high-sided. And so we'll see. It's going to be definitely a long day for him. He's right now 11th, I think, and about a minute and a half down from the leader. So we're just trying, at this point, we're just trying to salvage as many points as we can. Obviously, the top guys are kind of pulling away a little bit, but we'll know more after gas up and after the race. But, you know, it's not over yet.
Exactly, and you guys never give up. We know that's true. So, hey, Rodney, there you have it, straight from Auntie down here at KTM.
All right, thanks a lot, Megawatt Matt Watson. And hopefully Auntie's observation is a little off. I'm hoping that there's nothing tweaked on Caleb, and maybe he does have a few bike issues, but you never know. Like he said, we'll know more after the pit stop and after the race today. But right now,
interesting to note, Rodney, you know, we did see they were a minute and 50-second gap is what Price he's on the clock in there. He had Caleb at roughly a minute 50 down, currently exactly 1 minute 30. So if the estimation was correct earlier, that means Caleb has actually made up 20 seconds on that lead group. If that's the case, we could be seeing that Caleb charge. We could see our three-time defending champion back up in there interjecting himself not only into the battle for the top 10, the top 5, but possibly for the lead. Here they come through at the 5-mile marker, and it is still Josh Strang with a little wheelie through the water hole in the lead.
I have to tend to believe that will be the case, that we'll see Caleb up into the mix of things. I know he's got quite a bit of time and gap to make up, but look, we're not even at the 1 hour and 30-minute mark yet, which will be the halfway point of the race. So Caleb still got a long time to get to where he needs to be.
Rodney, I could be wrong, but I think we've lost Andrew DeLong from that lead group, and there he is. So,
and he's got company.
And Medaglia there in fourth, so I believe that may have been Sipes, possibly, or unless that was a lapped rider. So we know we saw Strang and Bach come through, but DeLong and Medaglia now probably 10 to 12 seconds or better back behind those lead duo. So unless we may have possibly seen another. So there is Jordan Ashburn now right up onto the rear wheel of Medaglia. So Ashburn, who was in the 5th place spot, looks like he still is. I thought we saw another rider there possibly up with Josh Strang and Chris Bach, but that may not have been the case where they're working their way through lappers. That's a dark section. It's hard to tell. But definitely we know for sure. And there is Garrett Edmonston. There is Ryan Sipes. And there is Daniel Milner. So we've got a few more guys working their way through just off camera there. And now coming through at the 5 mile marker, we've got Grant Baylor. And when we last saw him, he was in the 9th place position with Thad Duvall in 10th. So we'll have to see.
Ricky Russell, who was started out so strong, all the way back in the 14th place position. Now you got to wonder too what's going on there with him, because solid ride. There's Caleb making his way through here at the 5 mile marker now, and
I think he's made up a bit of time.
I'm thinking that too. It doesn't seem like it's as long, and as we've seen, I think we saw that Caleb is kind of pushing, and we're still looking at unofficially about a 1:40 gap, but still that's he's, if nothing else, he's lost no time.
Yeah, he's kind of managing that gap at this point, and looks like he may have worked his way into the top 10 unless we missed Thad Duvall, which we may very possibly have. Again, we've got shadows and cameras panning back and forth, so we'll have to wait and see. We should see those guys working their way through here at the 8 mile marker in just a few more minutes. Or I'm sorry, I think we see him again at the 7 or 6. I'm struggling here. It's a new season, not only for these guys. They're working the bugs out of their program. I'm working the bugs out of my program here. Racing went smooth yesterday. Broadcasting today, a little bit of a struggle for me.
Well, I'm glad your day went smooth yesterday.
We've got that was definitely Stu Baylor as he worked his way through. When we last saw him, he was in that 16th place overall, but with those riders removed, I believe he would have been 13th in the XC1 class. So I think he might have worked his way around Ricky Russell, who was, again, an early leader. Looked really great there on the first lap, and it appears maybe blew himself out a little bit or maybe ran into some struggles, but he's faded back outside of the top 10 around the 11th, 12th place position.
It's a heartbreaker there for Rough and Rowdy for sure, but man, what a good show there in the early part. That's got to be something that's going to be something to build on, if nothing else.
Sure, absolutely. It's a little bit of encouragement for him and his team, you know, to see their bike out front, to see their rider out front, for him to be able to look back and realize that he led the best riders in the world. You know, now we see, oh, and here comes the battle. Looks like that was Andrew DeLong. I think we might have missed our leaders at the 6 mile marker.
Getting a little dusty out there.
Man, it's really getting dusty. Having a hard time seeing these guys. So
like
Medaglia
pounded one
and
of those
DeLong.
berms is what happened, though. It's what caused that to kick up, I think.
Yeah, Medaglia and DeLong worked their way through, so we believe that is our 2nd and 3rd place riders, where we think we've missed, and there is Sipes. So
wow, Sipes is closing up.
That is our 5th place rider. So we did miss Josh Strang and Chris Bach, our 1st and 2nd place riders at the 6 mile marker. We'll get it out. Oh, we got a rider down, and looked like one of our XC1 riders used him for traction there a little bit while he was laying down. But hey, bud, move over. And here comes Grant Baylor, splitting 2 lappers, hard on the gas, not letting off. He's got places to go and people to see.
Most certainly, as we take a look at the top 20 overall after 2 laps of racing, we're about a little over 9 minutes due in for lap 3 to be complete. Strang, Bach, DeLong, Medaglia, Ashburn were your top 5. Edmondson was 6th. Ryan Sipes in 7th. Milner was 8th. Grant Baylor in 9th. And Thad Duvall rounded out your top 10. Then it was Caleb Russell in 11th. The gap was 34 seconds up to the number 10 spot at the end of lap 2. Tegan Temple, the XC2 Pro Lights rider, was 12th overall, and he's your leader in his class. Greg DeLong was running 13th. He'd moved 1 second behind Tegan Temple, so we got a battle going on right now. 12th and 13th overall, but the lead in the XC2 Pro Lights class. Ricky Russell was 14th overall. Trevor Bollinger was running in 15th overall, dropping to 3rd in the XC2 Pro Lights class. Stu Baylor was 16th, Jason Thomas 17th, Chris Douglas 18th, Zach Hayes, XC2 rider, was 19th, and Nick Davis, XC2 rider, rounded out your top 20. And there's something kind of interesting, Johnny. We saw a lot of Nick Davis last year, and this year well, to start it out, man, I'm kind of surprised we haven't said his name more than what we have so far, and I think that might be about the first or second time it's been mentioned today.
Well, you know, Rodney, when you stepped out to work on that issue we were having with Megawatt's microphone, I commented on that, and I'll be honest with you. Nick looked great throughout this offseason. He looked really strong. He was quite fast on that new Ampro Yamaha ride.
Right.
And then this last week, some things changed for him. I don't know exactly what it was. I don't know that I could put my finger on it, but he definitely hasn't been himself. Has not been riding like himself, so hopefully he gets it all figured out. He's not injured. It's nothing like that. I don't know if he just let the pressure of the season get to him. I don't think he was just super happy once he rode his race bike. He'd been riding his practice bike. He was comfortable on it. You know, it was clapped out, but he knew what it did. And from the time he got on his race bike, he's really been on the struggle bus, and he just doesn't look comfortable out there. So hopefully, I'm sure those guys, that's a great team. He's got a great mechanic.
Yeah.
That's a great program. So I'm sure they'll get it sorted out. We got a battle for the lead. We've got, it looks like Josh Strang out front and Chris Bach right in the shadow. Bach takes a look over his shoulder, wanting to know where everybody went. But these two have turned up the wick, and they've pulled away a little bit from the third and fourth place rides of DeLong and Medaglia.
Well, I tell you, I got to say that right now, watching Chris Bach ride, I think that the guidance of Johnny Campbell and the progression that we've seen over him, you know, he hasn't, we haven't seen those flashes of brilliance. I mean, yeah, we saw him win that one race last year at Tomahawk, but what we've seen is consistent, solid rides and finishes and calculated moves on the part of Chris Bach. And I think this right here is looking like a very calculated ride here in the sands of Florida right now. He's not pushing the envelope, but, man, he's going fast right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we saw Chris was able to, that one race, there's Medaglia now in third, so it looks like he is shaken loose of Andrew DeLong. And Medaglia really impressive today. We're an hour and a half into this race. We've seen him up front. We've seen him finish in the top 5, I believe, here last year.
Yeah.
You know, but to see him up in the third place spot after more than an hour and a half, or nearly an hour and a half of racing. Here we see Andrew DeLong now in the fourth place. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's Ryan Sipes. So I don't know if he's gotten around DeLong or if we missed DeLong there. But Sipes up into the top 5 for sure, and possibly into that fourth place spot. And I got to tell you, Sipes looks like he's hard on the gas, Rodney. He's got a little bit of a gap to make up if he wants to get up and interject himself into that lead battle between, and there is Milner. I believe that was Milner. It was hard to tell for sure.
One. I do know that. I saw that in red background.
And there's Baylor. So Baylor really hard on the gas. He's making up ground. Seems like the guys on the move right now are Sipes and Baylor. Those guys were further back, and they're really pushing hard to get up in there. I believe we missed DeLong, so I think he's still in that fourth place position. Now we see Garrett Edmonston, I believe that is.
There's an interesting opportunity for Garrett Edmonston. Edmonston was originally not slated to ride the GNCCs. There's Kalo's making up some ground, it looks like, out there. But originally, he wasn't supposed to be racing the GNCC series this year. Maybe a hit and miss here and there, maybe even here in Florida. But looks like he got the call. The new Bonsai race team out of Ohio and the Morgantown Power Sports team that you got going on there. They had Jerry Robin, who was a top amateur motocross racer, came to fame when he made Loretta Lynn's Amateur National Motocross Championship on an old clapped out like 1985 or something like that CR 250 Honda. And anyway, he came to fame and he's made a mark in the world of professional motocross. Well, the guys at Bonsai Engines decided, hey man, this guy, we think he's got a good chance over here. So they decided to hire him and they brought him over. Well, he has been doing real well in the off season and did really good at the sprints coming into this first round and the opening round of the season, but having some problems. So he actually got injured from what I understand. They called up Garrett Edmondson as the replacement rider, and Garrett's going to get the ride. Now, I don't know how long Jerry's going to be out or if he's going to be returning, what the case may be, but Garrett certainly got a good opportunity there, and he's doing a good job for him, I think, today.
Yeah, definitely. A great ride for him early. You know, he's inside the top 10. Obviously, the Sandman goes good in Florida, but we've seen Garrett Edmondson earn the number 5 overall one season, so he's capable of riding all these conditions. And, you know, back to that Bonsai team, you know, that's a new team this year. They got a lot of publicity out of the Jerry Robin thing, obviously, with all he did 2 years ago, I believe it was, on the old CR250. You know, Jerry Robin did quite well in the sprints, as you said. Had some top 5s, some top 3s even in tests. I have to say, though, honestly, I heard from a number of guys, it's unfortunate to hear that Robin got hurt, but I guess he was kind of a wrecking ball in the woods. So he was, I won't mention any names, but quite a few of the top guys said really it's a matter of time until he hits the deck. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt, obviously. But unfortunately, maybe his little looser riding style, I guess, if you will, jumped up and bit him. So it was, you know, bad for him, but obviously good for Garrett Edmondson to get that opportunity. And I think Edmondson's a great fit for that team and those guys.
No doubt about it. Hey, you want to give a shout out right now to Chris Venditti, the number 36. He is the 250A bike, the 250A class leader right now, and he is running 27th overall. That also puts him in top amateur overall position right now. As we check back in what's going on, there's Tyler Medaglia checking in. We're starting to see the front two pull away, Josh Strang and Chris Bach. Medaglia might be up to the number 3 spot. Was that DeLong? DeLong in 4th. So DeLong in the number 4 spot. Medaglia up to 3rd, and that means that we should see, according to the way things have been
There's
going.
Ryan Sipes.
Oh, Sipes has gotten around a couple. Jordan Ashburn and Garrett Edmonds is now up from 7th to 5th.
There's Ashburn. That we missed him. That was hot on Sipes' heel. He was right on the rear wheel of Ryan Sipes. So the next rider we should be seeing, it looks like we've got one of the Yamahas in the pits. So whoever that is early, because we were expecting to see next be Garrett Edmondson, and that is not Edmondson. That is Milner, and there is Baylor. So Milner and Baylor have both also worked their way around Edmondson. And
wow, you got to wonder.
Baylor's got a long pit stop here. He came in right on Milner. Milner's been gone probably close to 10 seconds, so a little bit of a lengthy pit stop there. But, you know, you can't ever say enough about Grant Baylor and how strong he pours it on at the end of these races. We're at the hour 31-minute mark, which means Grant Baylor is now warmed up.
All right, we're like a minute from seeing the lap 3 in the history books and the halfway point of this race. And we see that looks like Tanner's standing out there at the KTM pits, and I think Caleb Russell getting ready to make a pit stop here, so we'll watch the champ. Still trying to make up time, see if they make any. No adjustments being made to the bike, so evidently there's nothing that can be done except for Caleb to go out and put his head down and charge this machine and ride it the way that he knows how. And right here's where we get to see the true championship potential start to shine through.
Oh, and Caleb actually just passed Garrett Edmondson. That's him we see there right on the end of the XT2 auxiliary pits. It looks like he was taking his goggles off in frustration, so I don't know if there's a problem with the pit or a problem with the machine, but Edmondson still sitting there. He came in ahead of Caleb, and it looked like they were doing something to the bike. Don't know if it was just adjustments or what the situation was. Now we see Stu Baylor coming in. Look at that dust kicking up in the VP Fuels Pro
Wow. Yeah, I'd like to find out a couple different things there. If Megawatt Matt Watson can make his way down, find out what the extended pit stop was there with Grant Baylor. And I want to know what's going on with the Sandman down there with that new Bonsai Engines team backed by Morgantown Power Sports. There's Baylor back out of the pits now as he makes his way from the 9-mile marker. We should be about to see the leaders check in, Johnny Gallagher. We should be able to see them visually right coming through the woods any second, according to calculations here. Riders coming
There
through.
they are. Josh Strang in the lead, Chris Bach in second. They've pulled away from Andrew Long and Tyler Medaglia. And actually we see now Medaglia into the third place ride. So Bach just about 5 bike lengths behind Strang, but they're starting to get into some thick lappers. So this is really going to change the shape of this race, Rodney. So far they've had a few lappers, but now they're catching them in gobs.
Yeah, and that's gonna change the face of the race, and it also might help these guys behind them have an opportunity to close that gap back up that they're starting to stretch out here as we head into the second half of the race today.
Rodney, here comes Medaglia, and it looks like his left shroud is broken free from his machine, so possibly had contact with the tree there. So Medaglia now, he's coming through the final corners, making the right-hander into scoring, and there is your third place current podium rider, Tyler Medaglia. Fourth place now, Andrew DeLong, the number 410 Husqvarna, working his way through the S-turns, and now he's checked in with 3 laps complete and half of this race over with. Ryan Sipes now, the coastal Husqvarna rider, checking in, so that's our top 5 in and complete at the completion of lap number 3. Ashburn as well. Now there's the 6th place XC1 rider. Ashburn coming back on that new Westfield Power Sports KTM ride. Not sure exactly the extent of all his sponsors, but he's got a good program put together and obviously putting in a good showing here early. We do see the Ampro Yamaha of Daniel Milner working his way through the S-turn, so that should be our 7th place rider. 6th place, I'm sorry. Next, we should be looking for Grant Baylor, as we do see him coming through, and then I believe Caleb Russell will be next after that. Grant Baylor has now checked in.
Yeah, Baylor all the way back in the number 8 spots, looking at about a 12-second gap. Remember those gaps we were talking about a little while ago? They were 1, 1.5, maybe 2, 2.2 seconds, but most of them were like 1 point whatever between the top 9 riders there through the first lap, and well, even a good portion of the way through the second lap. But now here on at the end of lap number 3, you start to see those deficit break out. The front 2, 1.9 seconds between Strang and Bach. You got another 37 seconds back to Medaglia, 4th place, 8 seconds back, and there's Ryan Sipes in 5th. Caleb Russell now checking in, and this will put him.
Caleb Russell down in the finish line area, picks his machine up, and he really looks angry.
You know, how many times have we seen those little mistakes? That's what I got to wonder if maybe there might be something that might be maybe came loose on that bike when he went down, because he did go down pretty hard. I also heard he got pretty shaken up too when he went down. It took him a few moments to get his bearings back as well, to get the bike rolling.
Yeah, you know, Caleb has made consistent progress. He's up to the 9th place spot. That's 9th place overall also. At one point we saw him as far back as 15th overall. So it's been slow and steady progress. But, you know, Rodney, as we're looking at the overall times here, he's lost even more time. Now he's more than 2 minutes behind our leader. So as far as a run at the lead, can never put anything past Caleb Russell, but it's going to be a far cry for him to try and get up there and battle with Strang and Bach for the lead. At this point, I think he's just trying to salvage points, and obviously he's really struggling to keep that machine upright today. So maybe, like I said, maybe knocked himself a little bit silly in that first turn, and hopefully he's all right out there.
I got to pose the question, though, Johnny, and being a racer and knowing so many racers so intimately, you know, I got to wonder what kind of a mindset is this going to be for Caleb Russell after, you know, such domination, especially the last couple of years, such dominating rides that even when he went down, when he was struggling and had the problems, he could fight through and still get things.
I don't mean to cut you off, Rodney, but that should
leader?
be a new leader in XC2, Trevor Bollinger.
Yeah.
We saw it was Tegan Temple.
It is.
And
he's up to 11th as well. So we got a new leader, Trevor Bollinger, steady as she goes. And I knew that was a perfect fit team for him. Johnny Campbell saw exactly what I saw in that guy, man, and he's going to hone this guy into what I think is a true champion someday. I don't think that we have seen the last of Trevor Bollinger yet. He just got.
Wow, as he put a gap on those guys,
yeah.
too. We had Craig DeLong. There's Tegan Temple. There's 2nd place in XC2.
I'm telling you.
Bollinger really starting to flex his muscle now.
I think this fit between Bollinger and JCR Racing is going to be the ticket, if you ask me.
There's Craig DeLong now, 3rd place in XC2 checking in. So we've got our top 3 in XC2, and I believe our top 10 in XC1.
All right, real quick, that question I was asking, what's that going to do to the mindset of Caleb Russell heading into round 2?
Honestly, Rodney, I don't think it's going to affect the mindset of Caleb Russell going into round 2, but I think it's going to give him a little bit more clarity. Obviously, it's been quite a bit of time since Caleb Russell has raced a motorcycle. You know, he hasn't raced since August, I believe, or I'm sorry, September. He raced, he wrapped up the Unadilla GNCC the very following weekend. He went and wrapped up the title at the National Enduro Series, wrapped up both titles, went and had surgery about a week later. So Caleb Russell has been off of a motorcycle since September. Racing. He started riding again, I believe it was sometime in January when he came down. His fitness is there. He's fast on the machine. It was probably just a cocktail of a bad combination of things. Caleb hasn't raced in 4 or 5 months. Caleb went down on the first turn, possibly knocked himself and or his machine around a little bit. He's struggled to find his bearings. We've seen him missing corners and, you know, just not what you would expect from Caleb Russell. But he's still inside the top 10. At this point, I think he's going to not panic. He's going to do the best he can to do damage control and figure out exactly what he needs to do to get himself and his machine sorted out. I'm going to go out on a limb, not all that much, and say that when we go to Georgia, if Caleb can't rebound and interject himself in for a podium battle today, which although possible is starting to seem a little bit more far-fetched, you could I would just about set my watch by the fact that he will be up there battling for wins when we get to Georgia in just 7 days.
Oh, I can't disagree with you on that. But regardless, if Caleb continues to struggle today and not able to break into one of the top 3 positions, that's going to give a lot of guys some confidence heading into that second round. Regardless of what it does to Caleb's confidence, it's going to boost everybody else's. And the big question right now is, Johnny, how is it all going to play out? An hour and 40 minutes into this race, Josh Strang leading Chris Bach nearly nose to tail. Tyler Medaglia back in third, Andrew DeLong in fourth. Ryan Sipes rounds out your top 5, and GNCC Live continues after this.
Maxxis Tires. CST Tires.
I've been with Liat for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
Daytona International Speedway is synonymous with four-wheeled action, but getting airborne on four wheels, well, that's a new experience. Come check it out on Tuesday afternoon with the second annual Fly Racing ATV Supercross right here at Daytona International Speedway. Come watch high flyers like defending series champion Chad Wienen, challengers like Joel Hetrick, Thomas Brown, and Jeff Rastrelli, and last year's Supercross winner John Natale this Tuesday right here at Daytona.
We got him. Hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times. I just want to call, baby. I just want to call you.
And welcome back to GNCC Live in sunny Palatka, Florida for round number 1 and the 42nd kickoff to a brand new season of racing in the AMSOIL GNCC Series. Hello, everyone. I'm Rodney Tomlin, and we've got Johnny Gallagher. We got Mega Matt Watson, and we have got some great racing going on as right now Josh Strang continues to lead Chris Bach, Tyler Medaglia in third, Andrew DeLong in fourth, Ryan Sipes in fifth. The big news, if you're just joining us down in the first turn, from what I understand, I believe some folks told me that Caleb's back tire got clipped. It took him into Ryan Sipes. They both went down. They were both up and out of the first turn last, but it was Caleb who seemed to linger the longest.
You know, Rodney, with Caleb being down in the first turn, obviously struggling so far through the first hour and 40 minutes of this race. Obviously, with an hour and 20 minutes left, there's a lot left, racing action left. A lot of things could change. You asked me the question before we went to break, what I thought today would do to Caleb Russell's mindset. My answer was I don't think it would change things much. I do think that Caleb will come back in Georgia and be the rider that he needs to be, whether it's to win or be up front battling for a podium position. One thing that you touched on right at the end of that I think carries a lot more weight is what it's going to do to the mindset of the other riders. Caleb Russell has been nearly unbeatable, infallible through the past few seasons, only losing races very, very rarely. Lost one race last year other than after he got injured. So these guys kind of have all had the end of the season without Caleb to build their confidence, to take their
Right.
shot, I guess, if you will, at winning races. Now, Caleb's back. Caleb's healthy. If they can beat him today, even if it is because he had struggles, it changes their mindset drastically.
Exactly.
Now, they really want to win races.
It's certainly going to make for some interesting things. Hey, folks, I don't think we've sent it out yet, but I believe we've got our Twitter contest going on again this year where you can actually pick yourself up some cool things there from our good friends at AMSOIL. We ask that you tweet your top prediction finishers, your top 3, and hashtag those GNCC Live and hashtag GNCC, and we'll draw for a winner at the end of the show. Also want to remind folks that coming up over the course of the next 2 days, we will continue live broadcasting from Daytona Bike Week as we'll be moving over to Daytona International Speedway tonight. We'll strike the set here and we'll rebuild it in the wee hours of the morning tonight and tomorrow, and we'll be back live around midday tomorrow with Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross. Then on Tuesday, Johnny, we'll be back for more ATV Supercross, the second annual one of those at Daytona International Speedway, presented by Fly.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you haven't had the opportunity to check out either the RC Amateur Supercross or the ATV MX Supercross presented by Fly, you know, I got to tell you, they're both excellent shows. The amateurs really hang it out. They changed the track up a little bit, obviously, from the Supercross that anyone at home may have watched on TV, or if you actually went over to the Speedway yesterday, the track's changed up a bit. They cut the jumps down a little. They make it a little bit more, I guess, safe, if you will. And then the ATVs run basically the same track on Tuesday. And I got to tell you, being there last year, it was quite a show.
Yeah.
You know, you had 3 riders battling for the lead in that ATV Supercross with Joel Hetrick, John Natale, and Chad Wienen all nose to tail. John Natale, the Iron Man, pulling out the win. Unfortunately for Natale, just 1 round later, he was injured, sat out the rest of the season. The championship battle came down to Chad Wienen and Joel Hetrick, with Wienen pulling out his 4th ATV MX championship, pulling in with that #1 plate this year. You know, he's got that little bit extra swagger from another championship, but Joel Hetrick's going to be tough. You can't count out quite a few of these other guys.
Hey, I need Tristan Landrum's dad to report to the EMS station. They need to talk to you over. Tristan Landrum's dad is down by the finish line. We appreciate that. But in the meantime, Johnny, here we are looking now at nearly, about an hour and 47 minutes into this race. Chris Bach has really been pushing it hard. We've been talking a lot about him, Johnny, and, you know, there's, to me, I feel it. I saw it coming. I've seen the program building, and I've seen just the way things have been meshing together, and I really expected to see some good things out of this year, and to open up the season like this is pretty phenomenal and pretty exciting if you're a Chris Bach fan. And I know that we still got a lot of racing to go, but I think we're going to see a lot out of him. And I think he had that intention when we headed into this weekend, as we caught up with him earlier today.
High RPM aggressive.
I'd say this is the most physically demanding track of the year. If not the most, it is definitely in the top 3. The duration, 3 hours, you know, we're just fresh off the off season where no one's used to that 3-hour pace. And the sand is absolutely brutal on your body and on the machine. The sand tears up the bike, it tears up your body with the big whoops. There's mud holes, and it makes for a very, very, very long 3 hours.
Well, there you go. I think everybody knew that coming in. But, man, he seemed, even though he knows how challenging it's going to be, the way he's riding, he obviously had himself prepared mentally for this.
Yeah, Chris has a very methodic approach to racing. You know, I've been able to see that firsthand the past several years. He kind of knows what he's getting himself into. He prepares himself mentally and physically. This year he did a little bit, some different stuff with his training program. The past few years he had spent up in Daytona at the Boar training compound. This year he made a few trips up to train with us and ride with us, but spent the majority of his time a little bit further south in Florida training with Jesse Ansley, one of the standout amateurs here in Florida. The Ansley family, and the...
I want to understand, his grandfather has a really nice farm, has some good trails. There was like 140 GNCC racers over there practicing on one day, from what I understand.
Yeah, they had a clinic, actually, I believe,
that
they put on
was?
for free, and there was a number of riders that went down there to check all that out.
That explains
Chris,
it.
Chris has been down there since, I believe, the day before New Year's. Like I said, we did some cycling together, was able to see, you know, he's really taken a little bit different approach. You know, things are kind of more laid back. He tries to get his stuff done earlier in the day, and everybody has to find a program that fits them. And I think for Chris, the lower key, focusing on himself, not quite as hectic with so many things going on. At least so far, it's translated into a very prepared Chris Bach. You know, he finished 3rd here last year, battled actually for the 2nd place position throughout much of the race. So he's kind of in that same spot. As a matter of fact, he was battling with Josh Strang throughout much of the race last year. So those two obviously strong here. Thad Duvall was up in that battle last year. He's quite a bit ways further back today. But, you know, Bach is prepared. He's mentally strong. And, again, that tutelage from Johnny Campbell, I think, is helping him just refine the little things in his program.
All right, now we are an hour and 50 minutes, and here comes your leader, it looks like, Josh Strang, man, and he's riding like a Josh Strang of old. I mean, we haven't seen that rider since about, 2011 or something like that, 2010 when he won his championship, and He was, man, I tell you, what an amazing year when he went head-to-head there. I think it was 2011.
Wow, he's really pulled out a gap on Bach now. Looks like Bach is quite a ways behind. We're upwards of, oh, here comes Bach now working his way through.
Man, but you know, Bach doesn't have anything else more to prove, anything else to do. He can ride right here and not have to push the envelope as long as Medaglia doesn't catch back up to him and start pushing him.
Well, don't forget, we've got Ryan Sipes lurking back there
Yes,
just
true.
behind Medaglia, and he's been on the charge all day long. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him work his way up. There is Medaglia, so there's our third-place rider. I actually think he's closer to Bach than Bach is to Strang at the moment.
Here's another good question. I know by today's standards, because riders race a lot week to week and different things like that, they might be different series and so forth. But here we are so close together, and it is the early part of the season. So I got to ask the question, with Caleb Russell being back there and having to push so hard from the back of the pack, Ryan Sipes being back there, and here he comes now, having to push so hard to get up into the thick of things there. Is that going to make, or will there be any effects of this race lingering when we roll into Georgia for round number 2 a week later?
You know, honestly, I can say for me personally, I typically feel 100% by the time we get to Georgia. But talking with some of the guys that are really kind of scientists with their bodies, they claim that there's no way to recover in 7 days. If you fully exert yourself, you might feel fine, but later in the race, you're going to feel some lingering effects of that. So I know a lot of these. There's Jordan Ashburn. And Milner has now caught up to the back of Ashburn, was all over the rear wheel. Looks like there is Milner. So those guys are battling over, I believe that would be the 5th place position. And I think that might be Andrew DeLong in there as well. So those guys have caught up to DeLong. But yeah, I think with the race being only 7 days away, it's something that, you know, you're not thinking about it during the race, but subconsciously you're kind of thinking, hey man, don't blow yourself out too bad today. We got to do this again in 7 days.
Well, I know a lot of these guys, and some of them, they pride themselves on recovery time, and some guys think that they can recover in 2 days. I know Charlie Mullins was one of those guys that was really good about rebounding whenever he was in his heyday and in his prime there a few years ago. But again, you know, Sands of Florida takes a lot, and there comes Caleb Russell now. I got a question whether or not it seems like he might still be closing up some gap there. That puts him around this Baylor. Did we see Baylor go by, Grant Baylor?
I didn't see him, but I think he might have come by right after Milner. We'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
So now here we see it is Josh Strang starting to pull away. He's got a little bit of a gap now, and we'll wait and see. He came through at 12. He came around that corner, 1:53.12. So we'll see where Chris Bach is at and exactly what that gap is. We're at 8 seconds now, 10 seconds, still no Bach. 29. There's Bach. So we're at 32. So 20 seconds is the gap from Josh Strang back to Chris Bach in the second place position. So when we last saw them, they were wheel to wheel. And now we'll see. So at 32, we're looking at 10 seconds to Medaglia right now, 13. So these guys are starting to spread out. Again, just a lap ago, they were wheel to wheel, the top 4 coming through the finish line.
20.
And now we see gaps of 20 seconds between the leader. Medaglia coming through at 54. So that was about 21 seconds. So we've got 20 seconds from Josh Strang back to Chris Bach in second, and then another 21 seconds from Chris Bach back to Tyler Medaglia in third.
Wow.
And here is Ryan Sipes, your 4th place rider.
That's impressive. Look at him go, man. You can tell he's been pushing like that from the get-go. And like I said, that's the reason I had to ask that question. I mean, I know these guys are physically fit and everything, but, man, that's a lot of energy to exert over a 3-hour period. It's starting to get warm out here today, Johnny. By no means is it hot, but that sunshine's raining down on these guys, and you know that's going to warm them up quite a bit.
Yeah, you know, we did just see, as I'm watching at the 5-mile marker, I know we're seeing on screen the 6. Trevor Bollinger, the leader in the XC2, just came by. And again, he's another rider that's really pushing the envelope. It's in the mid-70s today. It's not what you would consider to be hot, but if you're not used to it, a day like today, especially with the track conditions being as rough as they are, it can really take its toll on you. Now we see Jordan Ashburn, the number 7 KTM machine. He's working his way through. We believe he is in the 5th place spot. And we'll have to wait and see if we have, in fact, lost Andrew DeLong. There is DeLong. So he is behind Ashburn, and that should put him in the 6th place spot now.
So, wow, some changes late in the race, and we kind of anticipated and expected things to switch up as the race went on. But again, from that first turn crash between Caleb Russell and Ryan Sipes to what we're seeing now, you had that early lead by Ricky Russell, who's faded away. But
there's Russell. Russell now into 7th. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but he's on the charge. He's definitely making up ground or positions, if not also time.
Yeah, and that's Caleb Russell. I was speaking about Ricky Russell, by the way. And so Ricky's having his struggles back there right now after a good first lap of racing. I think a good start to build on to the 2016 championship season. Caleb Russell still, though, Johnny, is as fast as he's rolling and even getting up to the position he's in, he's still well over 2 minutes. They're telling me now they're calculating about 2 minutes and 18 seconds between Caleb Russell and the next position.
Yeah, and that would be Andrew DeLong in the 6th place spot. So he's got a pretty good gap. Well, no, it's 2:18 to the lead, not to the position in front of him. So he's 2 minutes and 18 seconds from the lead. He's, I would say, somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 seconds behind Andrew DeLong in that 6th place spot.
That's better for Caleb. That means he can get a few more positions out there. And I thought that was seeming like an awful long time. But look, here we go already. And, man, Josh Strang just riding rails out there and seems to be very comfortable. Like I said, the confidence level at which I was speaking with him earlier, he was speaking to me with, I should say, pretty amazing. So he kind of hit the reset switch, not necessarily reset switch, but maybe emotionally. Got a chance to go home and recharge. Got to see his old buddies. They got to give him a hard time for sounding like an American. They got to do a little riding, having some fun down there. Got to see the family. Got engaged, spent some holiday there, and came back with a fresh new attitude.
Yeah, you know, sometimes everybody needs that. It's tough to stay on all the time, you know, especially moving from another country, coming here, racing, you know, so many things happening. There was Steve Medaglia. I believe Bach was going the other way out of the field, so he is still in 2nd. I believe that was him. We didn't quite get a zoomed in shot of him, but I saw that bright new 2016 and a half fly racing gear that he was wearing. It's pretty hard to miss. It's like it's got a battery in it. It's so bright. Medaglia, quite dirty. He was like that from the beginning. Don't know if he took a more aggressive line in one of the mud holes or just possibly got roosted, but it doesn't seem to be slowing him down any. Great ride for him in a podium position now, nearly 2 hours into this race.
Yep, you're right. 1 hour and 58 minutes now, and
Ryan Sipes, there's our 4th place rider.
Wow.
He is closing the gap a little bit there on Tyler Medaglia. So he's as he works his way past the lap rider, Sipes is on a mission, and you can tell he's in pursuit of a podium position.
Well, I tell you, this is still a long way from over, and I don't know if we'll see a 2-lap board or a white flag. We'll see a white flag this time around, I guess, huh? No. Well, actually, I guess Ricky's got the 2-lap board in his hand, quite possibly ready to flash it out to the riders. I don't see him doing it just yet.
Here's Jordan Ashburn working his way through at the 8-mile marker, and that should be our 6th place rider if we're calculating correctly. No, I'm sorry, 5th place rider, because Sipes is 4th, Ashburn 5th, and when we last saw on camera, we believe it was DeLong in 6th, and then Caleb Russell 7th. That was at the 6-mile marker, and now here we are at the 8.
So 2-lap board will be coming out as we approach the 2-hour mark. 1 more hour left to go. Lap times are hovering right around the 30-minute mark. 29:52s for your front 2 leaders, 30 minutes and 27 seconds for 3rd place right now.
And here is DeLong in the 6th place spot. We'll have to wait and see what the gap is to Caleb Russell. Oh, Russell really closing the gap up now. So he's closed that down to probably less than 10 seconds on Andrew DeLong for that 6th place position.
Okay, here's something that I want you to take into account right now. Caleb Russell, the last time around, lap time turned a 30-minute, 42-second lap time, and that was almost a minute slower than what we saw Josh Strang. So believe it or not, a lot of the time that we saw gapped out just recently happened, and now we're seeing the opposite start to take place. It looks like Caleb may be picking the pace up. It'll be interesting to see whether or not he's able, and if so, how much he's able to shave up off that nearly 31-minute lap time by comparison. According to calculations, our last checkpoint's telling us that he might have been about 7 seconds faster so far. That's not a whole lot, but that's also at the checkpoint. So that's a lot of. I think that's pretty good times that he's making up. He consistently keeps doing that. It's going to really pay huge dividends. And Strang making his way into the pits now. Looks like JCR Honda rider Chris Bach getting ready to pit as well.
We got a rider riding some wheelies down the pit row. He knows he's on camera.
There you go. So where did
there's about a 25-second gap from Strang to Bach. So we've got Strang in and out of the pits, and now we wait on Chris Bach.
There. Yeah, I was thinking that we were still wheel to wheel. I must not have been paying attention to
There is Chris Bach now checked into the pits.
He's making a star out of himself. You see me wheelie down?
There's Bach. No fresh goggles. Just looks like it was just a drink, some fuel, and he's on his way.
Well, I got an Amber Alert coming in.
Yeah, me as well. Looks like everybody's phone within vicinity got one.
Oh wow!
So we've seen our top two working their way through, and as we see, we should wait on our third place rider. Last we saw that was Tyler Medaglia, and we should be seeing Medaglia and also Sipes. And there's Medaglia. You can tell by the shroud flapping. He is out and still in that third place position.
Well, he started off the season strong last year. I can remember he was in a top 20 overall point standings, probably clear up to around 5 after the first couple of rounds of racing. He did so well, if memory serves me correct, in both Florida and Georgia.
Wow, that was, I'm sorry, Rodney, to cut you. That was a long pit stop for Ryan Sipes.
Yeah,
he lost quite a bit of time. He was up nearly to, I wouldn't say the rear wheel, but definitely within 10 seconds of Medaglia, and now it's more like 20. He gave up quite a bit of time in the pits there, so that's costly. When you work so hard to make that time up on the track and then you spend more time in the pits, it really can get frustrating.
Well, we should be seeing our leaders check through any moment now as we wait on the 114 of Josh Strang, who looks like he's on his way to opening up the 2016 season quite possibly with a round 1 win. We still got an hour to go before we'll know for sure, but man, all indications are starting to point in that direction. But we all know that there's a lot of things that can happen over the course of an hour of racing. That translates into 2 laps. Ashburn making his way through the pits. No pit stop thus far for him, at least this lap around. So he must be running comfortably and trying to make up ground of his own at the moment. Caleb, that's the reason he's not stopping. The reason he's not.
Oh, look at this! Grant Baylor now has caught up to Caleb Russell. Ooh. He got around, pulled a gap on him. It looks like they both may possibly have made the pass on Andrew DeLong and are now closing in. Or I'm sorry, on Jordan Ashburn. They're closing in on Ashburn now.
Yeah, closing in on Ashburn, and that right there is going to be pretty exciting. What happened to Milner in that, too? Was he ahead of Ashburn there?
Milner came through, I believe. I'm not certain that was him.
Okay. But the thing to point out is that both Caleb Russell and Grant Baylor are starting to close up some ground on those front runners. Though they might not be vying for a win today, they may be looking at the possibility of latching on for a podium if all things go well for them.
And they've both gotten around Andrew DeLong. It looks like DeLong had a rough outing that lap. He lost quite a bit of time in several positions. He was up in the obviously leading, and now it looks like he's back as far as possibly 8th place.
Wow. What a day. It has certainly been one that has not been without its excitement because we have seen so many things since the drop of the green flag on this one.
Josh Strang checking in at the completion of lap number 4.
Gets that 2-lap board.
Just 2 to go. The 2-lap card is in hand. Ricky Towery has that out there signifying 2 more laps around this rough wild boar circuit, and these guys will be done for the day. Look at this, Chris Bach checking in. I believe he might have made up a little bit of time on Josh Strang. He was 25 seconds behind at last check, and I could be wrong, but that doesn't seem to be 25 seconds to me. As we refresh our screen, 21 seconds. So there's not a whole lot of time made up there, but just a little bit by Chris Bach.
Well, it's all positive stuff, and I think there's a lot of positive angles that we can take away from this weekend. If you're a race fan, we might be in store for one of the most exciting championship runs we've seen in a while. Although, again, just like you can't give somebody a win, you can't take a win away from somebody, this could still turn out to be a Caleb Russell year as he closes in on trying to be one of the winningest motorcycle riders of all time. He's currently sitting 3rd in that respect, and only 3 out from the top 2. But right now, he's just thinking about winning races, winning championships, and getting out of. Well, right now he's thinking about getting out of Florida the best he can.
Yeah, and speaking of sitting third place is Tyler Medaglia. He did check in while we were going on there. And 4th place is Ryan Sipes. He's worked his way through, so the top 4 now checked in at the completion of lap number 4. That was Josh Strang. 21 seconds behind him was Chris Bach. Another 37 seconds back is Tyler Medaglia, then 17 seconds back to Ryan Sipes. So as we noted, he lost about 10 seconds in the pits there. Now we see Milner checking in. So here is our, let's see, our 5th place rider now is, Daniel Milner checked in the 5th place spot, so a solid ride for him. We saw Milner showing a lot of speed last year, but it seemed like he really struggled to close out these races. Ashburn now our 6th place rider checking in, and off in the distance we see Caleb Russell in 7th, so he's within striking distance of 2 positions, and wow, Caleb now really looks on the gas with Grant Baylor in tow. These 2 are lethal. Keep in mind, this is your number 1 and number 2 riders from the 2015 season, currently battling it out over the 7th place position as we're joined by Jason Wygant. Jason, you're joining us here today at the Wild Boar GNCC, fresh off the Supercross at Daytona last night. How's the action shaping up for you so far today?
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely. It's like
reunited, and it feels so good. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Jason Wygant and I started, I started in 2002 on a regular basis. I was back in the 90s hit and miss thing, but we kind of started hitting it together on a regular basis.
Pretty much, right, 2002, yeah. Yes,
and,
the old down in
Okeechobee.
Yeah. Far from here. That was about 3 hours south of here, yes.
Johnny and I were just talking about the sand whoops from there earlier off camera, as a matter of fact, and he was talking about those big sand whoops that Becca was talking about this morning. But, yeah, man, a lot of water under the bridge now. GNCC has come a long way. We see it from just barely making a TV episode or 2 or maybe a highlights reel someplace to now full-on television broadcast. Man, you've been a big part of that, a monumental part of that, and I got to commend you on the job well done that you've done, man. You've helped take it all the way through the levels that it's gone, and now here we are on MSNBC. We see you on motocross, Lucas Oil Motocross, and things like that. It's such a pleasure to know that what you've been able to do, Jason Wygant.
Grassy Knoll. We're going to find out who killed Kennedy here. I say it all the time. In fact, I probably said it 100 times yesterday at Daytona. Hey, man, how'd you get these jobs, man? How'd you get these announcing jobs? And I say, well, it started with announcing quads in the woods. That's how it starts.
Hey, whoa,
exactly,
whoa.
Exactly. I mean, that's
not act like that's such a bad thing. Quads in the woods are pretty cool.
I mean, it paid off big time. You study your quads in the woods, good things will happen, right, Johnny?
That's right.
And for all 3 of us, it really just comes down to is, listen, these are long races. We need guys who just know a lot about it. We don't care if you're good, if you're smart, if you're good looking. But if you know a lot about this and can talk about it, you're on. So here's the 3 of us standing here right now.
That's how I got my job.
Basically, what it comes down to is being a fan. If you're a fan of racing,
That's
if you're
right.
a fan of motorsports, if you're one of those core people, you can come out, you can kind of get what it's all about. I'll tell you what it's all about right now. Trevor Bollinger is on the gas. The leader in the XC2 class coming through, blowing out berms. A lot of speculation during the offseason. Were the Instagram videos the real deal? And he's showing right now they are. He's showing a lot of speed in his Instagram videos. That we keep hearing the talk out of the JCR camp is that Trevor Bollinger is going to win the XC1 or XC2 class when we get to Florida, and man, he's backing up those statements right now with a pretty healthy lead over the 2nd place ride at Tegan Temple and the 3rd place ride at Craig DeLong.
I love the quiet confidence that Trevor Bollinger operates under, man. He's he's just so calm, and he just smiles at you. And, yeah, thank you very much. Just a nice North Carolina boy, man. He goes out on the racetrack and just does what he's doing right now. It's amazing.
Making some of the Honda fans happy by showing that Hondas can get it done in the woods, making the Honda fans happy.
Matt Megawatt Watson is possibly the biggest Honda fan ever, so that's why we are not
fist
friends.
Pumping right
but
now.
Nonetheless, he's out there pointing to the fact that that's a Honda going fast and leading the XC2 class in the woods.
I'll tell you what, I remember when Bollinger first hit the scene, kind of out of nowhere, maybe about 3 years ago or so, and got a big win in North Carolina and kind of got on the map. But that's the cool thing about XC2. We see a lot of those guys do it here and there, and you're always wondering who's going to put the puzzle pieces together to do it every week. So that's where the talk was. This could be the year where all the pieces come together.
taking it one step further, that was actually Trevor Bollinger's first GNCC race. He was a local boy, heard GNCC was coming to town, raced the Mid-East Series, and said, we'll give it a shot, we'll see what happens. Came out, won that 4-stroke A lights class, and then talked to his parents. I believe he was 17 years old at the time, and said, I want to race GNCC. And, you know, they scraped the funds, they got the family together, you know, broke the piggy bank. They went GNCC racing that year. He won the 4-stroke A lights title that year, and I believe was the top amateur racer that entire season, almost every single race. Coming back the following year, moving up to that XC2 lights class. He's been a contender ever since. Never got the championship, many wins, but this could be his year.
That's what I'm saying. Which one of the young guys puts it all together? They all show speed here and there, but can you do it for all 13 rounds? The consistency is crazy, and there's guys in the XC1 class. We have videotape. We remember them in XC2 and having the same problems, being consistent week in and week out, and they eventually figured it out and are doing very well now. Although I have to say, as far as consistency is concerned, today's been a pretty topsy-turvy day.
Wow.
Even for some of the smartest, most seasoned veterans in the game.
This isn't your typical GNCC race.
No.
It could be maybe touted as a typical GNCC opener because, I mean, it's not the first time we've been surprised, so to speak, but wow, you know, this year just seems to be so much bigger surprises taking place.
Well, absolutely, and it begins and ends with all the trouble that the champ has had. And last year, I remember Caleb Russell starting about last, and then we saw him a mile and a half later who's already in the lead.
Yeah.
That certainly is not the way it's turned out today. And what I think is cool, all these other riders have entered the series as of late. Guys have come in, guys have come out, other international guys or young guys moving up. And I feel like lost in that shuffle sometimes is Josh Strang, because he's there every time. He's already won the title, and he's gotten podiums and wins the last couple of years. I feel like everybody gets caught on the new fancy, shiny thing, and there he is doing work every time.
And that's the same situation that I think Adam McGill finds himself in on the four-wheel side of things. He's the number 2 guy, and you'd think that, hey, man, all eyes would be on him to win the championship next year, but everybody's focusing on Walker Fowler and Chris Borch, the old champion and the new champion.
And kids moving up.
Moving up, and he's getting kind of overlooked. And I think we kind of do the same thing with Josh Strang. We don't realize we got that old staple there that's more than capable of not only winning races, but he's still a championship contender.
Yeah, well, he was second in every race last year at the beginning of the year behind Caleb before he got hurt. And honestly, had that shoulder injury not happened, looking at the injury that Caleb eventually had, who knows? It could have been a championship season for him. So if Caleb's a little behind the 8 ball with the knee injury and obviously struggling today, maybe we shouldn't be surprised if the guy that's there to take full advantage, and I mean riding phenomenally well, is Strang. And he's tough. You know, it's not like he's just tough on sand. He's tough on any track.
And I don't think it's so much that it's a surprise for me about Strang, but it's what we're seeing out of everybody else in the fights and the battles that we've had to see.
They have had ups and downs.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, and poor old Ricky Russell, man. I mean, what a great start for him. That's a heartbreaker that, you know, he's all the way back to the 12th place position overall right now. But I think he's got a lot to build on. Stu Baylor, he struggled all day long. Trevor Bollinger, the XC2 Pro Lights leader, another guy we've been talking a lot about. He's got a lot to build on, a lot to look forward to. I think Andrew DeLong.
He's on the gas.
On fire. And that right there totally surprised me, Jason. And it's not because of his talents, because I know, you know, we all know that he is very talented. But what surprised me is when I talked to him before the race, I was just like I was telling Johnny, he talks, he's just so down. He never seems to have any energy or anything like that. And you think, man, is this guy going to be able to put his leg over the motorcycle? But when he does, it's like a whole different person. And he showed that again here today.
Wasn't exuding confidence when you were talking
to him.
No,
not at all. Not at all. And he went out and rode the wheels off that thing. Now, what happened in the meantime, I don't know. But, you know, there's a lot of variables out there in these woods. And
hey, we're seeing that today more than ever. So it doesn't even mean that Strang and Bach, guys who won races before, are safe necessarily as well, especially in this last hour.
No, I mean, we're still seeing, I mean, look at Ryan Sipes. He's coming back from next to last in the XC1 Pro class, and he is now in 4th place. You do the math right now, 17:37. We're looking at about 50, so he's only about 1 minute and 15 seconds behind first place. That is an awful lot of time to make up, but we're talking about Florida, we're talking about lappers, we're talking about mud holes out here, we're talking about palmetto roots. There's a lot of variables, and we don't know what's going to happen, and we can't give Josh Strang this win until he actually earns that win at the end of what now is 6 laps.
Absolutely. So Strang out front, solidly right over Bach, who I'm sure would be happy to take
even second-place points. But Bach is always fast at this Florida race. And I've asked him before. I mean, he's from Indiana.
Right.
And there's no connection to that, really. I don't know if it's just he's so darn tall. Maybe that helps him in the sand whoops or whatever it is. But I remember him coming here on the beta, and that was kind of a surprising ride.
Right.
Everybody was wondering how well this bike would perform, and he immediately put it up on the podium here, and obviously doing really well, proving that Hondas can perform in the woods. So maybe not a surprise there either, especially at this Florida round. He's always been fast in the sand. Then you got T-Dags there out of Canada.
Yeah.
But he was here last year, wasn't he?
Yeah. He actually, I think, the first couple of rounds he raced, I think he went to Georgia with us also.
Yep.
And he did so well, Jason, that he remained in the top 20 overall through about 4 or 5 rounds of the championship season last year. That's how well he established himself in the first 2 races.
Yeah, and I know for him, he kind of looks at it as a training run. And what a great base of training to put in. Remember, we had Zach Osborne doing that a couple of years ago to just put some miles in, some hard training on the bike. So good to see Medaglia coming down from Canada on the Husky, and we'll see if Sipes can catch him. And I'm curious about Milner this year. We all know what he can do speed-wise, and with some seasoning under his belt now at the GNCC format, could be big things out of him this season.
I know he last year struggled a little bit with his diabetes illness and things like that, but it seems like as the season went on, they got that more and more under control, and I'm thinking that won't be as big of an issue this year. Some other riders that we've talked a little bit about, but what about Jason Thomas, man? Oh, UKJT, man. Yeah, that guy right there falling off of a cliff a little over a week ago down there in Mexico in one of those extreme races. I was surprised to see him here, believe it or not. I had a lot of people actually IMing me saying, is Thomas going to race? Is Thomas going to? Yeah, they were that concerned about his condition. But he told me, he said, man, he's got a good ride. He's got a good team. And he can get up, he can stand, he can walk, he can put his leg over a bike. He's going to race. He's going to race it, yep. And that's exactly what he's doing. So good to see that. Looking back again through some of these other names, Chris Douglas, good to see him back here with us. He's running in a top 20. Had a chance to talk with him. He's a part of that new MCS Obermeyer Suzuki team that they've got. And that might be a new life breathed into his program, too, because it's a small team, kind of it's a little more than a mom-and-pop's team, but at the same time, it's got that good time feel on it, and that might be just the combination that Chris Douglas is looking for.
Well, he used to stick out quite a bit as like the lone gunner on the Suzukis out there. So now they got a little bit of an effort. Who knows? And Chris has always been fast, even coming through the ranks at GNCC, so good to see him getting an even better opportunity with that team. But it's just a weird one here in Florida. Now, way back in the day, most of these riders would say, listen, sand is different. Sand is more of a high-speed kind of motocross thing, and I'm more of a woods guy for rocks and hills and mud. I feel like everybody is up their game tremendously, and now this is a race they really race. They don't come here just to get points. They come here to race it. But even with that said, things could change significantly as the year goes on when we're no longer on the sand tracks. They're all a lot better than they used to be, but it's certainly going to favor some riders more than others. So take all the results today for what they're worth. Maybe it's a shake-up in some ways, but there's other guys that are going to be looking for revenge when we're back on the hard clay.
No doubt. And I haven't been to Camp Coker. Is that a sandy condition place? I don't
know. We haven't been anywhere else in Georgia. Well, that very first year, you and I were at Paradise Park.
Paradise Park,
yeah. And then we were in Washington forever.
Yeah.
So this is going to be interesting to throw one in the mix, a whole new race.
Yeah, and that's always neat. I hate to leave a place, but it's always exciting to go to someplace new. And I think next weekend when we head up north to Georgia, it's going to be a lot of fun. That's for sure, and I can't wait to see what happens there, and looking for the exciting things that take place with GNCC racing only 1 week apart like that. Again, conditioning and how hard people push themselves may, again, be a true game changer for round 2, and then again, we still might not get the opportunity to see the true face of what this championship is going to face up to until maybe – you'd say North Carolina, but that's another one of those one-off events with all those mountains and stuff in it. It's not really till we get to South Carolina when things really start to look, and we'll start to see, I think, myself personally this year, about Bound 4 before it really starts to take shape.
Well, the best example of that of all is Caleb Russell and our old buddy Jen Kenyon, who's now at KTM. When I came up here this morning, she's like, why don't you take a guess what happened at the beginning of this race? And she's like, the same thing that happens every year. Something goes wrong for Caleb Russell off the start in Florida. Now, last year he was able to come back and win it, but most of the years we've seen him not finish here. We've seen him finish his way back.
And then when they get to those other tracks is when he really starts to roll. So I think that's the ultimate example of how you cannot count yourself out. You can't be down in the dumps no matter what happens in the first round. Things can change in a hurry after the opener, and he's vaulted himself back in a title contention after bad rounds in Florida. And one other factor that we would love to see, maybe by round 3, maybe by round 4, we'd love to see all hot rod Charlie Mullins back out here and riding like he knows how and how he wants to. So not able to join us again for the second straight year down here. I know he had the injuries. He was planning a big comeback.
3, isn't it?
That he's, I guess, halfway through 2 years ago, right?
Oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
It seems like so much longer.
Yeah,
than
we're
that.
on the verge of if he goes 4 or 5 rounds deep, then we're up to 3 years out. And I know he wants to be out here in the worst way. I've talked to him a lot through all this, and he said all that time off talking about Charlie Mullins here, former champ of the series. And I said to him, like, man, with all that you've gone through, have you thought about just hanging it up? Did that cross your mind? And he's like, honestly, the time off has made me more motivated and more refreshed. He spent a lot of time racing this series and the National Enduros together. And he feels like that kind of burned the candle at both ends. And he did kind of feel like that fire was extinguished. But all this time off, he's more fired up than ever, but he just can't physically get right to come out here. So if he comes back and rides even and close to where he used to, I mean, that's going to be a real X factor. So this is going to be interesting. Everything you see today, put that in one compartment, and then we're going to see a lot of other things, I think, happen throughout the year. But when you see guys like Strang and Bach up front, you can pretty much count on them. These are not flukes. I mean, they're going to be here this weekend. They're going to be here every weekend. So anyone who is struggling today is going to be in catch-up mode. You see Bach coming through right now.
Bach is just taking his time, easing his way through this, final lap and a half now. He's got about a half a lap to go before they see the white flag again. A whole minute behind Josh Strang now, so no reason to really push the envelope. He's got a buffer back to Medaglia. The only person he's got to really worry about right now is Ryan Sipes. That seems to be the rider that's trying to make up some ground right now, and he's been riding with some madness basically since he went down in that first turn, and that is the only thing that he's going to have to worry about heading into that last lap, I think. So maybe this little ease up that he's doing right now might not be a bad idea because he's kind of conserving some energy for that last lap push.
Yeah, and he's got to think about points. I mean, Medaglia's not in this for the championship. He won't be here all year. He's going to be racing motocross up in Canada. So for Sipes, got to try to get around that guy and get those points. The difference between a third and a fourth could be huge by the end of the year. And I actually did talk to Sipes a few days ago, and he doesn't come down and spend the whole offseason in Florida like a lot of the guys. So I don't know if he knows ever what to expect exactly at the opener. So if he can just get a podium out of this, you know he's going to get better as the year goes on.
There's Caleb going through now. Has he gotten around? Or did we miss Milner? I didn't see Milner.
I thought I saw Yamaha come through. Yeah.
All right, so Milner, I keep missing
Well,
Daniel.
we got a lot of the Florida sunshine.
Yeah.
Makes it hard to pick out here.
I can't hardly see the TV screen, honestly, so yeah.
So Josh Strang continuing to control it out here. We're about 2/3 of the way through this lap before we get the white flag.
Oh, man, it sounds like bad news. We're getting reports off the track right now, Jason Wygant, that Grant Baylor went into the mud hole and has yet to come out.
Watch Strang coming through here in one of the open sections. Man, maybe it's a alligator. Something caught him down there.
I don't know. So something, a swamp monster or something. I don't know, man. Something came from up out of there and snagged him. And that's a tough one for Grant Baylor. I mean, the Baylor boys are, both used to doing so well and excelling when they're out in the races and stuff. And, I was talking with Stu earlier. I didn't get him to talk to him over the mic, but, he was telling me, what I need to do right now is hook up with Grant. Me and Grant, if we can ride together, this is going to be good.
Pretty good, yeah.
But obviously both of them have found their struggles today, and neither one of them could hook up to each other and push to the front of the pack like that. So that's a heartbreaker for both those guys. I know Stu's been struggling all day, and now Grant has been struggling, but he's, we're not so unused to that because we've seen him come from behind on so many occasions. But today, man, he's really having a tough time making that happen.
Yeah, don't let the three-digit numbers, which have become quite the trend out here, fool you. Grant was second in the championship last year, and that was a rookie. So consistency was a big part of his game. Didn't get a race win last year, but got second in points anyway. So this is a rare situation for him to make a mistake like that. talking about a multi-time champ of our XC2 class. So he knows how to run the 13-race drill, but he doesn't maybe know how to wrestle alligators or whatever got him down in that mud hole. We just saw Bach come by, and there's Sipes.
Yeah.
Did we miss Medaglia? That's the question.
Possibly. I believe that's a possibility. Of course, we're going to know here soon. We're getting closer. That's mile 6. Well, we're still a ways out, about halfway through this lap. According to timing and scoring, though, we're only 9 minutes away from seeing a white flag come out in the conclusion of lap number 5 now, and that'll put us just over the 2.5-hour mark. And we'll probably – there's Medaglia. He must have gotten around him, and not only got around him, Jason Wygant, he actually put some gap between him and now the, what is that, 4th-place rider.
So Sipes now looking at a podium. I'm sure he'd take that for points purposes here at the opener. What's going to help Strang here, by the way, this big lead that he has, and we just found Russell.
Yeah.
He's got a shot, I think, at getting Medaglia here with a lap and a half to go.
That'll be some valuable points. Was that Ashburn that went by? Oh, okay. We're getting reports that that must have been Ashburn.
Oh, is that 7 of Ashburn?
Yeah. It gets lighting again. I have to agree. I thought it was the number 1 also, but monitor sitting in the sun here. And again, folks, we are live from Palatka, Florida here. It's round 1 of Amsoil GNCC Racing, the Wild Boar GNCC, presented by Moose Racing this weekend. And we kick off Daytona's Bike Week. And Jason, I know you've had an opportunity to be down in Daytona Bike Week. You were at Supercross there last night. They didn't televise, or they didn't televise it till 10 last night, huh? I fell asleep.
It was a perfect storm of UFC and college basketball March Madness. So that clogged up Fox Sports' Supercross time. So they had to wait 3 hours later. That was like a throwback race, a race that was not live on television. As we watched Strang rolling through here, continuing to lead on that Rockstar Husqvarna. But it was good racing yesterday in Daytona, and they're still racing there today. They have heat races for the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross and then main events, which we'll have for you on RacerTV tomorrow afternoon down at Daytona International Speedway, which has been totally revamped. They call it a motorsports stadium now.
Yeah, they were actually in the process of doing that last year. I remember a lot of the things.
Right, it was a 2-year process, right? So last year we saw some of the work, but now it's a complete revamp. So a really cool place. Well, always was to race, even better now. So that'll be cool tomorrow. Tune us in on RacerTV.com for 7th annual Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross from Daytona. And then a few more days for you guys. Got another show with these boys in the woods.
Yep. I can't wait, man. I love this time of year. We're out by the 8-mile marker now, Jason, and I think we've seen our leaders come through here already. But, again, you can just see, I mean, just looking at that shot right there, you can see how clear and sunny it is out here in Florida today, and it's making for a great spectacle of racing. And, you know, the good thing about it is you see a little bit of dust kicking up here and there, but, man, they got a lot of moisture deep, and those guys, if they stay in the main race line, wow, this track has got everything that you need. Good traction. Gets a little rough, but if you got the suspension, you should be able to keep things dialed in pretty good.
I noticed Bach taking quite a few looks over his shoulder in his field section.
That'd be with Sipes that he's worried about if that's the case, and I didn't think that Sipes was that close, but man, he is on the gas. And remember, we pointed out that Bach did slow down a little bit. It looked like he had slowed down and maybe taken a little easy, and that might have allowed Sipes maybe to close up that gap some, but not enough, I don't think, for him to see, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a big threat right there. I don't think that's Sipes yet.
No, I don't think that's Sipes at all.
It's a Yamaha rider coming through right now. So, yeah, plenty of room for Bach, although those field sections are probably one of the only ones where you really get to actually measure everybody. So that might have just been something he was going to do regardless of where he was on the track. Maybe he always looks over in that section. I think that's Sipes digging there. Yeah, so Sipes just comes through. So a pretty sizable gap between second and third at the moment. And then Medaglia.
Interesting to see what this last lap through the pit stops is going to bring us. We've seen a lot of off-schedule pit stops, I think, today.
Yeah, I agree. Saw the Yamaha guys and MFAB Ampro Yamaha team on a totally different cycle for their guys, for Milner and Baylor, for example, than some of the other teams. So is that the 7 of Ashburn now, who's switched over to the KTMs this year? Got some help from a shop, keeping them going.
Yep. Little D from FM. Good to have them on board with us again this year.
I have not. Let's go to the trailer. See the boss people are over there. We got VIPs. VIPs here. Keep going. Yeah. And that's one of the cool things actually about this event. One of the most unique things is not just that the track's totally different because it's sand, but the whole setting and the industry is here for the entire week.
Yeah.
This is often one of the few chances that some of the big sponsors of these riders get to see them, because they'll catch a supercross, you catch a road race, a flat track, a GNCC, an ATV supercross, an amateur motocross event over there. So it's one of the few chances sometimes for these sponsors to actually see their riders in action. So that makes it even a little more critical to do well today, to have your pit set up looking good, your bike looking good, and everything like that, because the scouts are out here in Florida. That's a tradition no matter where we're racing in and around the Daytona Bike Week area. And the guy that everyone would be most proud of for sure would be Josh Strang, the Australian, on that Rockstar Husky.
Well, making his way through the pits right now is Josh Strang, and he is at the 9-mile marker, and that'll put him here close to the finish within what we're looking probably 2 to 3 minutes at this particular point, maybe about 3.5, 4 minutes. So Josh Strang is well on his way to taking the first win of 2016. That's going to be, like we told, a great momentum getter for him. I'm still curious to see what's going to happen back there for second, whether or not Bach is going to slow down enough to allow that third and fourth place rider maybe to catch up. But I have to tend to think that that's not going to be the case, because if nothing else, he's going to be told, don't relax too much.
Yeah. Got to go. A little over a half hour here. A whole Sipes off. And Sipes is digging all day. He's got to have spent a lot of energy, though, coming back from some of the troubles early on.
Exactly. A lot of energy expelled. And
there's Bach coming through in the 4.
So still about a minute behind is Chris Bach behind Josh Strang. So he's got a good, consistent run right now. So if Josh Strang hasn't slowed down, then that means Chris Bach hasn't slowed down. And that means that they're keeping a good and steady pace. The question is, how much faster has Ryan Sipes been able to pick up the pace, if he has? Milner's up to 3rd place now. He was all the way back in 5th place. He's gotten around both Sipes and Medaglia now, Jason Wygant. And, wow, I thought that I saw that 31 bike go through, but I knew that he was a couple of positions behind Sipes the last time at the last game.
He's made the move.
Wow, that's impressive and kind of surprising at the same time. And we were just talking about Milner and how, they think that we thought that they might have got things under control for him and his diabetic issues from last year. Oh, and Caleb Russell is right there. He's starting to close up the gap. This is where it starts to get exciting. We're starting to come in on this final lap, the white flag lap, and now is when it's all going to start happening, folks. I'm telling you, if you're not someplace close to a racetrack, a TV or something like that, get there, because the next 33 minutes are going to be some of the most exciting 33 minutes in motorsports.
I'm telling you, that's a great sign for Milner. When Milner, we know, has speed and a great sprint rider, but he's putting a charge on late here on a very rough racetrack, getting through both Medaglia and Sipes to try to put that NFAB Ampro Yamaha on the podium. And who's been shuffled back here a bit is the 7 of Ashburn just coming through, as Caleb Russell has gotten him. So this is really the proof in the pudding when you get to the late stages of a pretty hot day here in Florida on this rough sand track.
It is starting to warm up quite a bit out there, there's no doubt. And like I say, 3 hours, it takes its toll. And this track, it's a challenging Florida track, and each lap, it makes it even more challenging. We had over 400 riders this morning at the 10 o'clock race.
And just the 10 o'clock race.
In just the 10 o'clock race by itself. Sure. Yes, we had 130-some or 40-some youth riders. That's, to open up the season with that many youth riders is pretty impressive as well. We had a nice, strong ATV presence yesterday as well. I think that we found a good home here at Robin Plantation.
White flag's out. Josh Strang, check it in, trying to polish this one off. That's actually the position with the least amount of drama. Some good battles there, 3rd, 4th, 5th. But Strang has had this one under control for, I guess, about the second half of this race for the most part.
Yep. And right now we look to see, we'll put a clock on it, but we're 2 hours and 34 minutes, almost 35 minutes into this race now. And we'll be watching to see how far back Bach is. We'll get the real-time splits on 3rd, 4th, and 5th places as well, and see just how much time Caleb Russell has made up, how much time Ryan Sipes has made up, and how much time Daniel Milner has made up in the process of all this. And that's what's exciting right now. Here comes an XC2 Pro Lights rider in. He's taking his white flag now, and I'm sure that he's probably thinking, woo. There's Bach coming in now. We get the official split time on this. 21.6 seconds a lap ago. We're at 56.2 seconds this time, Jason Wygant. So it's not as bad. I mean, it's about 40 seconds that he lost, but that was 40 seconds of rest that maybe he took during that lap to get this last lap push, because he
better have it.
Yeah, he's got guys like Daniel Milner pushing right now. Milner, this is unfamiliar territory to see Daniel Milner pushing this late in the race, because, like we said, last year he had those problems with his but look at here, not far behind Milner, the 264 of Ryan Sipes. Now we start looking at time. 17 seconds back from Chris Bach is Daniel Milner. As Chris Bach checks in, he's only 11 seconds back. Lap times right now, 30 minutes, 33 seconds for Strang. We've seen a 31.08 for Chris Bach. Daniel Milner, a 30.03. He actually turned the fastest lap out there that time around. A 30.42 for Ryan Sipes. So pretty impressive stuff. And again, this is something that we're in unfamiliar territory as far as I'm concerned with Milner right now, because of the fact that in years past, last year in particular, we would always see him in the pits at this particular point, eating a sandwich or taking an IV or something, trying to get his sugar back up.
Yeah, and I give credit to Randy Hawkins and everyone over there for sticking with it. Doing another shot at it. And we know the Australian's super fast. That's certainly not the issue, and I think that speed, you just can't buy that kind of speed. So cool, they're stuck with him. I saw Eddie Ray and everybody working hard over there, and they've got to be happy. This could be like a whole new Daniel Milner this year, as we see Ashburn coming through now on the 7.
Caleb Russell, a 30.03. He and actually Daniel Milner matching the best lap times this time around. Caleb Russell now is pulled to within 16 seconds of Ryan Sipes, and he ran, get this, he's 16 seconds behind, and he ran about a 38-second faster lap, 39-second lap.
We could have all three of these guys wheel to wheel on this last lap.
We could see a final moment decision maker of who's going to get that final position on the podium. And if they push it hard enough, poor Chris Bach might find himself in some trouble if he ain't careful.
Absolutely. So you're going to have 5 guys battling for these 3 podium spots as they roll through the finish line area. And like I said, only one position with no drama, and that's Josh Strang out front, doing everything he can to try to keep that stuff behind him. And Strang's polished off a lot of victories, really ended last year with a flurry. Win 3 out of the last 4, I believe. So Strang knows exactly what to do when he's got the lead late in these races.
Well, I tell you what, here we are. We're over 2 hours and 30 minutes into this race. We're about 28 minutes out from the checker flag flying, and we still got a lot of drama to unfold before that happens. Many of us may have thought it would be settled into pace and we'd just be waiting here yawning at the finish line.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
Closer.
That's right. It's getting closer, it's getting tighter, it's getting hotter, and it's only going to get better. Stick around. Racer TV continues after this.
Any engine, any season. At home, at the track, or on the trail. AMSOIL for any engine.
Maxxis Tires.
As riders and racers, we understand the need to get quality parts, apparel, and accessories fast. We have the horsepower of multiple warehouses to make sure your gear, OEM parts, or accessories make it to your door quickly. Check out our easy-to-use website and experience customer service that takes the whole shot. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser.
Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best?
The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why
I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
Daytona International Speedway is synonymous with four-wheeled action, but getting airborne on four wheels, well, that's a new experience. Come check it out on Tuesday afternoon with the second annual Fly Racing ATV Supercross right here at Daytona International Speedway. Come watch high flyers like defending series champion Chad Wienen, challengers like Joel Hetrick, Thomas Brown, and Jeff Rastrelli, and last year's Supercross winner John Natale this Tuesday right here at Daytona.
I'm just a lost soul that's made of paper, but your touch can color the white and bring back beauty into my life.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Rodney Tomlin along with Megawatt Matt Watson, Johnny Gallagher, and an old familiar friend, Jason Wygant. The Weeds is in the booth with us right here. And again, Jason, thanks for stopping by the booth here and working with us today. I know it's a lot nicer and funner sometimes to actually be out here trackside, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I could have just stood in the woods all day, but I'd rather hang out with you guys. Yeah, so I started the morning over in, why not see my friends? We're just going to talk racing, right?
That's right.
We could do it over here, we could do it over here. Yeah, I was actually at Daytona this morning. We got the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross rolling. Thanks to David Iser at GMXS Radio. I gave him the afternoon shift. He's got things handled over there. Drove over here just in time to watch this race get started, see some chaos, and we'll hang out to the end. I'll bring Megawatt in here in a moment. But it's always cool to watch these races. And for me, actually, I don't get many opportunities to talk to these guys one-on-one, not like I used to. So it helps with the information as we put the television shows together for the NBC Sports Network, NBCSN. So always pumped to be at these races. And honestly, everyone says it. Doesn't really matter about results or the classes. What makes GNCC racing so fun is the atmosphere and the people that you get to hang out with. That's why people like coming here. It's camping that a race happened to take place in. It's really just about hanging out with your friends. So that's the best part of GNCC.
We're all going camping for the weekend.
Regardless of the results.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. You're out camping with your buddies. This is not work. Yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. That's for sure. I've been looking forward to it all year long. But, Jason, again, thanks for stopping by, and we appreciate the help that you give us. And look forward to maybe seeing you at RC Ricky Carmichael Supercross and maybe some ATV Motocross on Wednesday. If
I'll
you
be
stick
there
around.
bright and early working the shifts down there at Daytona, no doubt about it. And that's going to be a good race. We got bigger names than ever racing that event now. That's part of the 5 majors of the Amateur Championships. If you're watching today, watch tomorrow as well to see some Amateur Supercross from Daytona. And you're set up for an awesome last lap.
Yes, we are. You sure you
Who's
want to
going
lead?
to join Megawatt on the podium?
I don't know.
How do you know?
I don't know. We're still up in the air on that one, and we'll find
I know.
out.
We got 5 guys going for 3 spots.
All righty, here we go as we take one more look at it for you. We'll remind you again what's going on. 2 hours and 44 minutes into the race. Josh Strang leading Chris Bach. Daniel Milner up to third, and that rider and Caleb Russell turning the fastest lap at 30 minutes and 3 seconds. And both those riders are faster than the guys ahead of them. Well, only 5 seconds or so faster that time. Whoa, wait a minute. A minute and 5 seconds faster was Milner than Bach that last time around. So in theory, you start looking at lap times right now. Chris Bach's position is going to be in trouble. Ryan Sipes is in trouble.
Yep.
Daniel Milner's all over Chris Bach right now, and Caleb Russell all over Ryan Sipes. When we see them again here in just a moment, we'll know whether or not that is truly the case. But according to calculations, that should be what we see shaping up.
Yeah, that tells the story right there. It should be on top of each other, as you say. Caleb should be under fire, and so should Milner.
So it's a waiting game right now. I think that we're still waiting to see them. I think our first shot around the 5-mile marker, we'll be seeing them come through there in just a few moments. But, wow, what an amazing start to the season. Yesterday with the ATV racing, a phenomenal race. We saw a lot of good things. And today, so much action, so much drama taking place literally within the first 10 seconds of the race. We saw the script just be totally thrown out the window, and it was a write your own script for the day for everybody from that point on.
Absolutely, that's exactly how it went down, and nobody was going to write that script.
No.
Nobody was going to sit down and predict that and write that. That's a GNCC original story right there, man. I can tell you.
That's the life of the GNCC, but you know, this is where we get to see the true championship caliber of our riders. You know, what kind of a true champion Caleb is, to be able to struggle and push as hard as he has been for this race. And, you know, to say that, you know, he hasn't struggled a lot, it would be saying, you know, you'd be lying, because you look at what happened with Ryan Sipes. Ryan made his way up through the pack a lot quicker than what Caleb did. Why and what held Caleb back as long as it did, I'm not really sure what it was. But, Matt, something's clicking here in the latter part of the race. I don't know whether it's a mental, physical, whether the bike finally came in, or whether it all just meshed together here late in the race. But Caleb is on a mission statement right now.
Well, you know, when you talk to him early in the season and before the race and stuff, there's only one thing Caleb wants, and that's to win. I mean, he didn't come here for any other reason. You know, he came here to win, and nothing else will really satisfy Caleb. So the bottom line is, when he picks himself up in last place, it never crosses his mind, okay, let's get the rhythm, let's get, you know, shake out the cobweb, you know, let's make sure things are straight. Nah, man, when that guy picks himself up in dead last, it's bad news for everybody in front of him. It doesn't matter what position he makes it to. Okay, everybody between him and that position's in trouble.
Yes, they most certainly are. And, yeah, he's riding with a vengeance at that particular point. And that's what he's doing right now. Caleb Russell on a vengeance ride right now, trying to avenge the fact that he got a bad start, and he wants to make that big statement that he had hoped to make. I know that he doesn't want to give those guys, you know, Johnny Gallagher and I were talking about, he doesn't want to give those guys that confidence heading into round 2 or even into round 3, because right now, you know that Josh Strang, regardless, he'll look back at the lap times and he'll say, wow, Caleb is beatable.
Oh, yeah, no question about that. That's the kind of confidence that will come from that situation. And like you said, Caleb does not want that to happen.
No.
And Caleb is very good at applying pressure early, whether it's from behind or pulling out a monumental points lead. You know, he applies the pressure from the front or the back. It doesn't matter where he's at. The pressure's on to either catch him or the pressure's on to keep him behind you.
Exactly.
Okay? So that's how he plays, dude.
That's it, man. He's not one of your best friends on the racetrack. I mean, he makes you work for it, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Actually, he is one of your best friends, because he puts you to your test to find your best.
And if you can grab onto that fender for a few corners, man, if you can latch on and follow for a bit, I guarantee you're going to be a better rider at the end of that straightaway.
I promise you that, too. 2 hours and now 48 minutes, working on 49 minutes. Leaders due in about somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 and a half to 17 minutes. And I, again, am expecting to see these guys at the 5 coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm thinking when we do, I'm thinking that Caleb and Sipes are going to be pretty close, and I'm thinking Bach and Milner are going to be pretty close is what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking you're absolutely right. And we might see a four-way shootout going on.
Man, oh, man, Rodney. Woo!
That's going to be exciting to see for sure. And I myself, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see anybody have anything bad happen to them. But knowing the caliber at which Caleb rides and what he's capable of, I have to admit, when I seen both he and Sipes go down, it was a little bit exciting from a race fan standpoint, because I had to think, man, these guys are going to be riding like nuts today. And that's basically what they've been doing. And they've slowly inched their way up.
Warmer weather than these guys have seen. A little bit unfamiliar terrain to these guys, and round 1, so a lot of pressure on right there. So the last thing you wanted to do was fall over in the heat today behind the 15 other fastest guys in the country.
There you go. And right now we should be seeing our leader check in about any moment. He is due any second. The camera crew, the track spotter crew is waiting themselves. They expect it to be within the next 30 seconds or so that we'll be seeing that number 114 poke his way through the trees. And If not, then maybe Josh Strang might have slowed down his pace a little bit, and that's another story that could unfold.
Right, that's another chapter right there.
Yeah.
You bet, man.
15 minutes is a long way to go when you're looking at the end of 3 hours of racing.
You better believe it.
First 15 minutes is not so long. It's that last 15 minutes that can seem like a long, long time.
You better believe it. And how about Trevor Bollinger, man?
How
about that guy?
Man, I have had so much confidence and faith in him since his 4-stroke A Lights day when he came to Morganton, North Carolina. I was an instant fan. He hooked me from that point on, man. The personality. You know, I don't know his family real well or anything like that, but I know through him how great his family is. I can just tell he's a great kid. So, yeah, to be able to hook up with JCR and Chris Bach, those guys, and ride on that team, have a national number 10 heading into this year, and to come out here and to perform the way that he has performed today, unbelievable, man. I mean, it's just an amazing ride. I'm so happy for this kid. I know that when we hit Steel Creek, can you imagine what that place is going to be like? I mean, we already have tens of thousands of fans that show up, and here comes our leader right now, the 114 of Josh Strang making his way in. Let's put a clock on it right now. We'll put it at about the right there, the 40 mark, so 251.40 is when he went by that particular little muddy tree right there, and we'll see where the second place ride is. It was almost a minute, so that may not be a lot of time that they're going to be able to bridge, even if he does slow down. Again, it's still back there in that number 2 spot with Bach and Milner and Sipes and Caleb Russell as they battle for the final podium positions behind Josh Strang.
Yeah, you know, I ran into Trevor out at Anaheim. At Anaheim, too. I ran into I was thinking, man, oh, man, Trevor, what's going on? Then it hit me, you know, he's out there with Johnny. Johnny lives up on the hill. And I can tell you, being out there, having that personal contact with Johnny, not just receiving support, not just getting, you know, parts and help and stuff, and being out there, being in that influence and being around Johnny's place, I want to tell you that's the single best thing that could have happened to Trevor Bollinger this season.
Exactly 1 minute behind, according to mine and producer Price Harden's calculation. So we're at exactly 1 minute behind. Chris Bach is behind Josh Strang. Now the question is, where's third? Where's Daniel Milner? Where's Ryan Sipes?
Yep.
Is that Sipes coming through? Did we miss Milner? I can't hardly see.
I'm having a hard time making any of them out right now, Rodney.
Come back on that, Price. Couldn't make any of them out either. The sun glare on our monitor, and I imagine with the sun glare on some of the TV screen for our producer, he's having a little tough time seeing that. But that was Ryan Sipes we seen going through there.
Oh, sweet.
264, so it was Ryan Sipes. So what happened to Milner then, man?
That tells me Milner has either fallen off the pace or
Milner
run.
Right there.
There we go.
Now, this brings up another question. What about Caleb Russell? What happened to him?
Exactly, and if Milner and Sipes kind of drop off the pace, man, that's going to leave things wide open for Strang, Bach, and, you know,
Russell, possibly.
Russell, yeah.
But the thing about it is, Russell hasn't come through, and according to our calculations, if timing, you know, if he was running the fastest lap as he was the lap before, and they were running consistent, he should have already been through. So evidently, Sipes has picked the pace back up.
Oh, man.
So I think that Sipes might be the factor in that has changed that all up. Sipes has gotten around Milner, and that's
variable.
Yep, that's the variable we didn't consider in that, and we don't know what happened to Caleb Russell yet, but he's still back there and still there's Medaglia coming through now, and that means that maybe Russell, either we missed him in that little conglomeration of riders. Josh Strang out near the 6 mile marker now, Megawatt, and he is rolling. A mile back behind him, Jordan Ashburn. That goes to show you the gap between first and I believe that is what now for Ashburn. He's all the way back in what, 7th, 8th place?
8th place.
So the gap, 1 mile. If you're looking at distance.
How about that?
Yeah. A 1 mile distance or about 3 minutes.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. That's very accurate, very close.
I think they gauge somewhere in the neighborhood of about a 3 minute
mile.
Yeah. Some of them are a little faster. This is a 12-mile course. We're running 30 to 32-minute laps.
And as rough as it is, it's going to be every bit of 3 minutes.
Yeah, close to it anyway. And 2.5, 2:45's easy. Wow. Bach, man, you can see he's picking that pace back up.
Are you kidding me, man? Feet up. The bike moving left to right underneath of him, swapping through there.
And
he never lifted, never bobbled his head.
Nope.
Amazing.
I mean, that bike, he was so. There's Caleb now. He's getting closer than we thought, man.
Absolutely. Because that was only.
He might have been in that little conglomeration of riders that we were trying to figure out who was.
Exactly who they were, yeah.
And now he is in front of Sipes, so that's exactly what that was. That's who we were trying to
what
figure
happened.
out. So Sipes is now back to the number 4 spot. Caleb Russell is up to the number 3 position. 6-mile marker, 6 more miles to go, my friends. And Caleb Russell, when it looked like that things are going to be the worst for him today, struggling so hard to just get out of that 14th or 15th place position through the first half of this race. And then the second half, it's been a whole different Caleb Russell. It's been a whole different race day. It's almost like a whole new race has started for Caleb
question.
Russell.
We've all seen Caleb get up and charge through the pack. Things looked a little different today on lap 2 and 3. Actually slid back a few positions on lap 3 or so. Lap 2 and 3 slid back to from 8th to about 11th, and even a little further back
as 14th.
As 14th, as 14th. Now look at this, man. Less than half a lap, 4 miles to go. Here this guy is in 3rd place.
Wow.
Amazing.
That is nuts, man. That is nuts. And he started out dead last out of the first turn after going down. I think, if I'm not mistaken, somebody said they thought that maybe Bach might have clipped him, and he about went down, and then Sipes went down. And I tell you, that's
pretty much how it looked. And I can tell you, it was typical Caleb. The bike had just barely hit the ground, and he's back on his feet. Not a panic, but, man, straightened things out, got that thing started, and when he let the clutch loose, he hadn't shut it off since. So that's typical Caleb Russell style right there.
Yeah, and the 264 of Sipes is just ahead of him, and it took him 2 hours and 55 minutes to
How about
pass
that?
him.
How about that? 2 hours and 55 minutes, man, and made the pass.
Crazy, and both those guys were next to last and last now. They're 3rd and 4th place overall and in this XC1 Pro class.
Incredible.
And it is. And I didn't have the gap between 2nd and 3rd, so I'm not sure how far Caleb is behind Chris Bach to think whether or not he might stand in a position to be able to.
As we know, it only takes a couple miles with Caleb.
That's
so,
what it's looking again. And there
I can tell you.
There is Strang
Strang
out by
right
the
there.
8-mile marker. But I just thought of something. This might be a little bit of a redemption day for Caleb Russell from the Tomahawk last year.
Right.
If he can catch
Chris
Bach and pass him for that second place position. You know,
little bit of payback.
So, yeah, I mean, he won't get the win, but what he'll do is make that statement. Finally
Absolutely.
got you back for that Tomahawk thing,
exactly.
man.
Real happy for Johnny Campbell, though. Great performance here today out of both his riders.
Oh, yeah.
And
he's got 2 guys going to be on the podium likely today, and one of them likely is going to be the winner. The other one was in contention for the win for a long, long time.
You know, Jesse Ansley's grandfather, Tom, told me that Chris Bach came down and spent about a month or so down at 3rd place and hung out with Jesse. And when Johnny Campbell told me he's a new rider, Chris is a new rider, you know, I've heard that from 2 or 3 people now. And Tom, Jesse's grandfather Tom, told me what an experience it was. And he saw a change in Chris overnight.
Okay, I thought they were getting ready to follow Caleb Russell there for a second. We just saw Chris Bach.
There's
there is
Caleb right
Russell.
there.
He's got him in sight, so he's only about 10, 12 seconds behind the second place ride right now of Chris Bach. You're looking at lap times there, a full minute and.
Kids, this is why you don't give up.
1 minute and 9 seconds down from the leader, and that puts him right there within striking distance of second place. My goodness, wow.
This is why you race to the checkered flag. This is why it's never over till it's over.
That's it.
This is why your coach tells you as a kid, you never quit, you never give up. There's the example why. That's the prime example.
This is what GNCC racing is all about, man. You never know till the very, very end what is going to happen. And that's a tagline and a phrase line that Jason Wygant and I coined many, many years ago. And it's one that holds steady and true here today. You never know what's going to happen in GNCC racing, my friends. And right there is a point to prove it. And Caleb Russell hot on the back wheels now as he's closing in within 10 seconds of Chris Bach and the number 2 position.
Yeah, one thing you can count on, though, Caleb's going to make it exciting. And if it's going to happen in GNCC, it's going to happen on the last lap, Rodney.
We're now, it is, and we're at the 3-hour mark here in the sands of Florida now. Megawatt, and as far as closing in on the finish line, we are less than 5 minutes away. Does Chris Bach have enough left in the tank, or did he reserve enough to try to keep Caleb Russell or any of the other challenges that may come along at bay? Or does the head full of steam and the fistful of throttle that Caleb Russell is riding with right now going to be too much to stop the Bach?
Let me tell you, man, we're going to find the answer to that in about 6 minutes or so. And I'm telling you, what I saw out of Caleb Russell there just a second ago, the way he was attacking that corner, the body position, the gas locked wide open on that bike, I'm not going to bet against the guy, but I can tell you Bach is a race strategist. So let's see exactly how he plays this one out.
Well, looking back in that XC2 Pro-Am class, once again, just to give you an idea how things going there. I'm all the way down in the Open B class.
Oh.
XC1, XC2. Nope. Oh, they changed this on me. That's what they
How'd
did.
that happen?
I don't know. Somebody got fancy on me this winter, I think. Changed the scoring computer. There we go. There we're bringing up the XC2. Bollinger now with a 1-minute 49-second lead over Tegan Temple, but you got to hand it to Tegan Temple having a great ride in the XC2 Pro Lights class.
For sure.
Little brother Craig DeLong holds steady today, and he's in a number 3 spot. Zach Hayes is 4th. Jesse Grome in the 5th place position of that class. Josh Toth 6th. Benjamin Kelly 7th. Mark Horesco 8th. Josh Clammer 9th. And Trevor Barrett in 10th. And through the pits right now comes Josh Strang. His final time through. And, man, this right here basically is a victory mile or so that he's about to embark upon. Actually, about 3 miles of victory miles. And he's just got to keep that good, steady pace. Here's going to be the interesting thing. When we see here in about 15 seconds or less when Bach rounds the corner, how far behind will the number 1 of Caleb Russell be at that point? Will someone have given Bach the board to pick the pace back up?
Oh, I'm certain they've given him the indications exactly who's coming and where he's at. And it's just going to be a matter of keeping your composure together, keeping it on 2 wheels, and finishing this thing out.
For sure, as we continue to wait with bated breath.
That's Bach.
That is Bach, and he still not riding with any sense of urgency.
No.
He's only 50 seconds. He has picked up the pace. He's only 50 seconds, and there's Caleb still running about 10 seconds behind. He's a minute behind Josh Strang right now. But both Bach and Russell are running pretty steady paces now because there was 10 seconds that separated them when we saw them a mile or so ago. Now there's still 10 seconds, but they both gained 10 seconds on Josh Strang.
Josh Strang, exactly. So they're running the same pace. They clicked off the same 10 seconds, but the margin between them is the same.
Yes. So that's to me, that's a good indication of what the rest of this championship season is going to hold because Chris Bach does have more left in the gas tank to carry this one on to the checker flag. But, man, we got still about 3 miles or so. Yep, both of our second and third place riders should be making their way into the 8-mile field section here in just a moment. I think this is going to be the beauty of GNCC when you can see 2 riders in the same shot at the same time in a big wide open field session like this. You get to see the difference in how hard they're pushing, what line they're pushing.
Is that Bach? Yeah, I think that's Chris Bach right there.
That looks like Milner almost.
Now there comes Caleb.
Yeah, there.
Caleb's right here. Now what's going on there? Is that Milner?
Wow, where's Milner keep coming from? He disappears.
Did he just blow past Bach?
I think he did.
Because that was definitely Caleb coming right there.
He disappears and drops way back, and then he comes from out of nowhere.
Man, oh man, I'm not sure exactly what happened there, Rodney.
Is he riding wormholes out there or something? Man, he's found a time tunnel or something out there, man. I don't know. Because he's back one place, and then the next thing, he's like already 3 positions back up.
I'm not sure if that's what we saw or not, but man,
I don't either. But that sure looked like it.
Whoever it was went hauling by Chris Bach.
Wow, man, I think he's found a wormhole out there.
Man, oh man, incredible, Rodney.
He's traveling time right now. Wow, I don't know. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe we've been miscalculating and judging this, but I swear we saw Milner a couple more positions back in several
That's what it looked
back.
like to me, man. Hey, I'm going to head over to the finish line, get ready to catch possibly Josh Strang. Who knows at this point, man?
The way it's looking, it could be Daniel Milner. The way
Absolutely, man. Going to go over there and catch an interview and then head to the podium, Rodney.
All righty, sounds real good. Thanks a lot, Megawatt, and we'll see you over at the podium here in just a few moments as we get set to take the ride the rest of the way home all alone here at the broadcast booth, my friends. Leaders are due in at basically any given time according to scoring and timing, and as we look, there goes Josh Strang making his way in. The revs are up, the checkers are out, and Josh Strang takes the season opening win here at the Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC, and he is your points leader as we get set to roll into Georgia less than 1 week from today. We go there today, man. Josh Strang pulls off the win, and the total elapsed time when it's all said and done for Josh Strang, 3 hours, 4 minutes, and 50 seconds, almost a 3 hour and 5 minute race. But here they come. The battle for second place is on. The last turn, their nose to tail. Oh my gosh, they were nose to tail. I think that is, we're going to get the official word on this right here. I mean to tell you, that was a finish of all times. Daniel Milner does it. He gets around Bach, or Caleb Russell gets around Bach. Bach drops to fourth, and man, what a finish. Daniel Milner from out of nowhere, from seemingly several positions back, seemingly several seconds behind, pulls off a second-place position, and everything that went wrong last year for Daniel Milner goes right for Daniel Milner here this year to second place, and I think that's as much of a storyline as any here today. Johnny Gallagher joining us back here in the broadcast booth now, and I tell you, Johnny, that was pretty phenomenal. Josh Strang comes in, a solid finish, but that three-way shootout coming to the checkers like that, unbelievable.
Absolutely, Rodney. You know, there was a lot of questions as to what was going on those last couple miles there. We were running back and forth, and Bach was in second. Milner was right behind him there in third, and Caleb was coming. He was in fourth, and then next thing you know, we heard you saying that Caleb had passed both of them, and Chandler Russell, Caleb's wife, was standing there, and she said, or actually I think it was Becca said that the lap before, Caleb apparently wheelied the mud hole the whole way, just sprayed the crowd, sprayed everybody, charged through, made up a bunch of time, so it looks like he used that move to move up to third. That dropped Bach back to fourth. Milner was able to hang on for second. Those guys were wheel to wheel coming into the finish. What a
man,
charge.
I'll tell you, Daniel was kind of like that unknown variable. He kept, it seemed like, you know, you'd see him and then you wouldn't see him. He was sneaking his way through the camera shots and around that racetrack like nobody's business. But, man, he kept that solid pace all day long. Remember, he turned one of the fastest lap time around. That time, again, he did the same thing. However, Russell won a 29.46. That was almost 30 seconds faster than Daniel Milner when it was all said and done. But, man, that was phenomenal riding by everybody out there. That, to me, Johnny Gallagher sets the stage for a really exciting round two coming up in, a week.
Absolutely. You know, and Rodney, it seems like just about an hour ago we were talking about the fact that obviously Caleb Russell was out of a podium battle. He was out there trying to salvage a top 10. You know, I think he certainly showed what he was made of. Obviously, he's not going to be happy with a third-place finish, but he's got to feel good about the fact that he ended up, after being 2.5 minutes aback of the leader, he ends up all the way up only 30 seconds behind Josh Strang at the finish line. What a charge he put on. All that time he made up. You know, whatever went wrong for Caleb in the beginning of the race, just like you said, with Milner having a rough 2015, coming out, obviously swinging here at the beginning of 2016. Caleb Russell, whatever went wrong for him early in this, this race today, he got it all sorted out by the finish.
Man, I tell you, the guy found some good lines out there, had the good speed. I said it, and when I say this, he's finding wormholes. What I mean, he's traveling at warp speed, man. That's what I'm saying when I'm saying that. He is just amazing. We're going to take a look at a replay at this finish, and this is just exactly how it broke down for you folks to watch at home. Here it comes.
And, you know, Milner knew he had it at this point. Caleb's still trying to run it in there like a champion does, never giving up. And, you know, right there on his rear wheel is Bach. You know, that's you know, at the same time, those guys, I'm sure Caleb disappointed with the third. Strang obviously super pumped on the win. I mean, how could you be anything but to win the opener? Milner has to be happy. This is his first ever GNCC podium. to do it in a race like this after all the struggles he had last year. So many people questioned his drive, his fitness, that he's a diabetic. Was that playing into it? He obviously got his nutrition figured out, his medication, whatever it may be, because this is the toughest race of the year, and he just came out and proved that he was one of the baddest dudes out there.
I rode him off. I'm going to tell you, on the first lap, I just figured he'd fade away like we'd seen him in the past. But, man, just watching that finish over and over, nose to tail, 2, 3, and 4 coming through the finish line like that, and knowing what took place over the course of the 3 hours and 4 minutes or so before that, just utterly amazing, Johnny. It shows the true grit, the determination, the heart, the drive, the will, the desire that these off-road racers possess.
Absolutely. These guys, they laid everything out there for 180 minutes. When it was all said and done, they had to dig even deeper for the final few miles. And, I can tell you from experience, and anybody who's ever done anything athletic, whether it's just go run a mile or whatever it may be, playing basketball, if you're in that final quarter, if you're in that, last 100 yards and you have to dig deep and put out your most absolute exertion of the entire day, to have to do that in the final miles after 3 hours of GNCC racing on this incredibly rough course, all three of those guys, and obviously Josh Strang as well, all the guys in the top 10, the top 20 even, they're really gladiators.
We talked a lot about confidence today. What about Daniel Milner?
I don't mean to cut you off, but here comes the winner.
Yep.
Right now, Trevor Bollinger, the leader of the XC2 class with the fist bump. He grabs the win. He's got to be pleased with that. He worked so hard in this offseason with that new ride. For him to come out and win the opening round is obviously a big statement for him and that team.
Nearly a 2-minute lead whenever he went into the final lap of racing. If this is a statement he's making here for 2016, this is going to be a very interesting championship, as these guys are really going to have to rise to some major levels. But again, you never know what happened out there. A lot of unknown variables, a lot of crazy things happening. We'll be able to sort it out a little better in Georgia. And when we get to North Carolina, maybe we might get an indication. But South Carolina will be about the time that I think we know what this championship's really going to start looking like.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys, they went out and they laid it all on the line today. But there's so many variables today, obviously, with the conditions, with it being the first round of the year, with all the crazy things that happened. We've seen riders lead for laps that had never led before at all. We've seen the top 3 early in the race ended up, I don't think any of the 3 of those guys actually even ended up in the top 10. Well, actually, I think possibly Medaglia looks like he ended up 7th. So of the 3 leaders early in the race, the only one who ended up even in the top 10 was Tyler Medaglia. So, the usual suspects kind of struggled a little bit early, but they got their act together, they pushed themselves, and they got up front. Daniel Milner, congrats on your first podium. Josh Strang, obviously a hard-earned win. Caleb Russell to fight back all the way back from, who knows, the doldrums of barely inside the top 20 to come back with a third-place position on the podium. Chris Bach, Ryan Sipes, Grant Baylor, Tyler Medaglia, Jordan Ashburn, Trevor Bollinger, and Stu Baylor Jr. rounding out the top 10. All of those guys, heroic efforts today. Can't wait to see what happens again here in just 7 days.
No doubt. Can't wait to see for myself. I know we got podium presentations coming up here in just a few moments. We've also, I was want to take a look at our top amateur. You need to turn Megawatt's mic down, it sounds like. Got too close to something. But anyway, taking a look at that overall, looking for our top amateur overall. We were looking at a 250A rider earlier, and I think that's what we are now, but it's a new one and a different one, if I'm not mistaken. That's Alex Teagarden out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. And that should be that's who we're looking at for top amateur. Second place, Chris Vendetti, 3 minutes and 44 seconds behind him. So there you go. And a little bit further behind him would be Open A rider Nick Hunter. Well, podium presentations getting ready to take place down at Max's Victory Lane here in just a few moments. Again, our top 10, Ashburn, Bollinger, Baylor. Baylor. That's 8, 9, and 10. Sorry. So as we go a little further up into 1 and 2, how about Josh Strang, Daniel Milner, Caleb Russell, 1, 2, and 3. Chris Bach right on his rear wheel in 4th. Ryan Sipes, a valiant effort, but still finishes up 44 seconds down. Must have ran out of that steam on the last lap. Grant Baylor finishes 6th. Tyler Medaglia in 7th. Jordy Ashburn is 8th on his new ride. Trevor Bollinger, 9th overall, taking the win in the XC2 Pro Lights class, and what a great first outing on the Johnny Campbell Racing machine. Stu Baylor rounds out the top 10, as we said, and in the XC1 Pro class, that means 11th place. Ricky Russell would have finished 10th in class. He's 11th overall as he makes his re-debut back into the XC1 Pro class. We're going to, I believe, take a couple-minute break here and get things ready to go over to the podium and get a chance to pay some bills and say thanks to the fine folks to help bring you RacerTV here, or I should say GNCC Live right here on RacerTV.com.
Max's Tires.
Check, check. All right, Rodney, sounds like we're working now. Over here and one.
CST Tires.
I've been with Liat for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
Daytona International Speedway is synonymous with four-wheeled action, but getting airborne on four wheels, well, that's a new experience. Come check it out on Tuesday afternoon with the second annual Fly Racing ATV Supercross right here at Daytona International Speedway. Come watch high flyers like defending series champion Chad Wienen, challengers like Joel Hetrick, Thomas Brown, and Jeff Rastrelli, and last year's Supercross winner John Natale this Tuesday right here at Daytona.
We got him. Hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times. I just want to call, baby. I just want to call.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Rodney Tomlin, Johnny Gallagher, and Megawatt Matt Watson bringing you the call today, along with a special guest, Jason Wygant. And right now, Megawatt down on the podium getting ready to celebrate at Max's Victory Lane as we'll be bringing our top 3 overall up. And what an amazing battle, as we have told you so many times. If you happen to be just joining us, first turn crash with, of course, Caleb Russell. He went down. He took Ryan Sipes, I should say, took Ryan Sipes out. And Ryan got up just ahead of Caleb. Took him a couple moments to get rolling. And what seemed like forever for Caleb Russell to get rolling. But once we hit that 2-hour mark and started in that 3rd hour, it was a whole different Caleb Russell as he started turning some of the fastest laps. Was able to move up into the number 3 spot, challenging Daniel Milner, who had also gotten around Chris Bach for second for the number 2 spot. They come in nose to tail like that, but Josh Strang, he gets the comfort zone win there with a 30-second gap, but Milner finishes second. Caleb Russell in the number 3 spot. As we head down to the podium now, where Megawatt Matt Watson stands by with our top 3 overall.
Hey, thanks a lot, Rodney. Kind of waiting on Caleb to make his way back up here. He's over at the truck right now, but looks like he's on his way right now, so we're going to get things underway in just a moment. He's got over had to get himself straightened out there just a second, had a bit of a rough day. But, hey, make some noise for all 3 of these people. Let's hear it for Josh Strang, Mr. Milner himself coming through, making a second-place finish today, and Caleb Russell coming up dead last to 3rd off of that pro row. So Caleb making his way up right now. Daniel Milner with an impressive ride, and Josh Strang just looked so cool and collected, man. Didn't have the best of starts, but when he got out there, holy cow, it was on. No two ways about it. Looked cool and comfortable. Up on the podium now with us right now, our defending champion, had some rough luck right off of the start. I mean, didn't even make it around the first corner and ran into some issues. But I could tell you, in typical KR fashion, this guy picked it up, dropped the hammer. As soon as you let that clutch loose, Caleb, you never shut it back off. So just give us a quick take on your day.
Yeah, it was piss poor, to be honest with you. I mean, got a good start, got a good jump, and then Ryan got into my back wheel and took me out. But, you know, I got going. I think I was like 4th or 5th, and then Thad cleaned me out and just blew the corner. He's just aimed straight at my front wheel. So, you know, that's what all the fuss was coming through the pits. But, you know, I think he was a little bitter. I ran him high in a corner, and, you know, then he just cleaned me. So it's whatever. You know, you see he's up here. But, we'll, you know, I rode good at the end of the race, and, you know, I felt good. And, you know, it just took me forever to get going and run those guys down. The track was super tough today. It was really rough, but you know, all the fans were awesome, and I gotta thank FMF, KTM, Red Bull, Troy Lee Designs, my mechanic Tanner, my wife, my family, all the fans, and you know, the property owners here at Hogwaller. Thank you.
I want to tell you, Caleb, I know you're never satisfied with anything short of a win, but I want to tell you something. The respect that you got from this crowd here today, the fans that you earned today from that performance was absolutely amazing. Put your hands together, make some noise for this guy here. Caleb Russell in third place today, your defending champion, never letting up clear to the finish. Now, for another amazing story, we're going to make our way over here to second place, Daniel Milner. Daniel, why don't you stand on this side of me? Hey, man, you got to tell me. We talked over there for 1 second when you come off the track. You know, you got a big smile on your face. You feel like you belong up here. You feel like you had the speed. And, man, confidence has to be through the roof right now.
Yeah, for sure. I enjoyed the race today. The bike was awesome. And, I mean, I haven't had fun this much fun racing one of these 3-hour GNCC. So I had a smile on my face the whole time out there, and, you know, stoked for how I'm finished.
Hey, man, did you surprise yourself with the pace on the last lap? Because I got to tell you, when you went by guys, you didn't set them up. You just passed them wherever you came to them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I felt like I still had a bit going on, and just pushed it as hard as I could, and, yeah, ended up getting here.
Well, I want to tell you, it was impressive, and you, too, made some new fans today. I can guarantee you that. And I know it took a lot of help to put that thing up here today. Who are the guys that helped you make that happen?
Big thanks to the ANFAB and Pro Yamaha team. My mechanic Lucas, Yamaha, can't do it without them, and just, you know, 100% Atlas neck brace, and, you know, all the sponsors that are associated with the team. Big thanks to them guys. Bike's working awesome, and I'm really loving it.
Well, congratulations to you, man, on a great ride. We look forward to seeing you next week. Make some noise for this guy right here, Daniel Milner, in second place today. And over here in the middle of the podium, Josh Strang. Josh, I want to tell you something. I said it earlier, but when you made your way to the lead, you didn't have the greatest start. Once you got up there, things just almost looked like they went on cruise control for you, like you just put it on autopilot and you went into almost race management mode. Your pace was so quick, I didn't see you miss any lines the whole time we were watching you, and you just looked like you were out there to do it today.
Yeah, the first lap was, I knew everyone was in for a good race, so it was, track was brutal. So once I got into the lead, I just wanted to try and stay up front and ride just comfortable. I knew it was going to be a long race, and then we got a race next weekend also. So it was good. I think with 2.5 laps to go, I tried to get away from Bach and was able to get a gap, and it just stayed about the same for the rest of the race.
And it's my understanding you guys didn't come down here and practice any. You guys didn't come to Florida. You didn't practice in the sand. You've been running a few quick races, and that was that.
Yeah, no sand riding for us. So it's one race. I'm happy to come away with a win. So it's good. I've been riding in the clay a little bit, and just it's good to stay at home and ride up there. So I feel like we've accomplished everything we've tried to.
Well, I tell you what, congratulations on a great win. I know that you have some people you want to thank, and I know there were a bunch of people involved in this win here today.
Yeah, Rockstar Energy, Husqvarna. We have a new bike this year, and it's awesome. I feel the bike isn't even where it can be yet. So I'm already loving it and can't wait to get it further along to where we feel really comfortable on it. So just stoked. Everyone that helps out, Michael, my fiance Cameron, Flight Racing 6D, CDX brand, just everyone else that helps out. CrossFit 77 in Mooresville, new deal for me, and I feel like it's working. So pumped on that, and pumped for this guy right here, Milner. He had a tough year last year and might have to up his rent.
Right on. Well, congratulations to you. One more time, Florida. Put your hands together for these guys. Josh Strang with the win. Mr. Milner in second place. And Caleb Russell winding up third here today. Let's get these guys their champagne. We're going to put the champagne spray out there right now for this whole front row. They look awful thirsty, Josh. So let's get everybody lined up right here. Let's get these things popped off. Jen's still giving me directions down here. Jen Kenyon's still telling me what to do. And she's right. Let's get the pictures in here. Let's get all these guys in the front here. Going to pop these tops and going to hit the champagne spray. All right, Florida, I'm only going to say it one more time. Make some noise while these guys pop these caps. Let me hear it. No, seriously, let me hear it. That's more like it.
Well, as we always like to say in the world of GNCC, to the victor goes the spoils, and the spoils, the sweet, sweet spray of champagne. And a sweet spray, I know, for Josh Strang, and a sweet spray as well for Daniel Milner as, well, I won't say a couple of shocking things taking place, but I will say one thing. These guys certainly gave us a lot to think about after this first round of racing as far as this XC1 Pro Class is concerned. And good to see everybody bringing their A game to Florida here today, and good to see how it all panned out. Congratulations to Daniel. Again, one of those riders that we never really counted him in there, and he somehow or another kept hanging in and kept sneaking in. And when it looked like he was gone by the wayside, somehow or another, he was able to find some really fast pace out there. We saw him and Caleb turn two of the fastest laps while everyone else is going 31 minutes plus. They were down around 30 minutes and 3 seconds, and that right there is what kept and brought Daniel Milner back into contention for that number 2 spot. So congratulations to you, Daniel, on your best finish so far in GNCC racing. Congratulations to Caleb Russell for a hard-fought battle from way back in the pack. And, you know, earlier today we had a lot of great racing taking place. We started it all out this morning with our youth class racing, and you know, it's only fitting to go ahead and play it now because we want to congratulate a youth rider that's traveling the same road right now that your 3-time and defending champion Caleb Russell traveled. Matt Watson caught up with our youth class winner earlier today.
Hello and welcome to Racer TV. We're here with our first bike youth winner of the 2016, Zach Davison. Zach, an amazing race out there today. All kinds of competition, riders everywhere, a fast pace from the start to finish. Tell me a little bit about your race.
It was good. On the start, I got like second or third, and I just like pounded around them to try to get around them. And then my dad kept giving me pit boards like 5 to 20 seconds overall, and I just kept charging to the end to see if I could just catch up to him, and at the end I did.
You got to be pumped. You come out of round 1 with a win. You got some great points. You're in one piece, the bike's in one piece, and you're headed to round 2.
Yes. I'd like to thank Abe Graphics, Palmer Motorsports, Brian Easer Toyota, my mom and dad, God for keeping me safe, and Neely Racing and Chad Davis.
Congratulations, man, and we'll see you at round 2. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks a lot again, Megawatt, and that was from earlier this morning. The 8 o'clock race, congratulations to Zach Davidson. Something else to point out about Zach, he did that from row 2, the Super Mini 12 to 13-year-old class. So very impressive ride by Zach Davidson there in the youth class this morning. And again, very impressive things taking place in this XC2 Pro Lights class as we head down to the podium in victory lane one more time with Megawatt Matt Watson.
Hey, thanks a lot, Rodney. You talk about another exciting race. This XC2 class was amazing. Let's hear it, Florida. Put your hands together for these XC2 riders. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Absolutely. Hey, got Craig DeLong in 3rd place, Tegan Temple in 2nd place, and Trevor Bollinger, man, coming from behind, bringing the heat today, getting that win, man, making it look easy almost. So let's get over here with Craig DeLong. Craig, I got to tell you, man, fast pace from the start, riding hard. Didn't see you make a lot of mistakes. Maybe you made some mistakes, but we really didn't see them on camera today.
Yeah, I made a few out there, and out by the FMF PowerPoint, one of the biggest ones is I dug it up to a deep rut, got my foot peg stuck, and just buried it. And then the next lap, I came around, tried a different one, and ended up going over the bars. So I was struggling that part of the track, but it was tough for sure.
Hey, how rough did it get and how quick?
Like the first lap, I thought it was rough. And then it mellowed out there a little bit halfway through, but the last 2 laps were really, really tough.
Hey, you got the whole shot. You had to be pumped about that. We're going to hand you a whole shot award here in a few minutes. But once you got out front, was the pressure on, or was, you just a relief to you to be out front?
Definitely getting a good start is making your life a lot easier. So, they had to come by me, and I kind of got the start and kind of tried to get into a pace and got arm pump real bad. And Tegan was riding good, and so was Lane. And then I ended up burying his bike. Yeah. But now I just try to stay consistent because I know this place is brutal. So you can't do it all in the first lap, or you know.
Right on. Hey, who are the folks that helped put this number 11 up here, man?
I got to thank everyone at the Coastal Race Team, Barry, Scott, everyone there, MSR, Garnet Boots, Bell Helmets, 100% Goggles, FMF, Pro Taper, Bell Ray Oils, Chirby's, Dunlop Tires, Factory Connection, my buddy Rich Lafferty Racing for helping me all winter and just making me try to ride faster, and all my friends and family, Chris Borch and all his buddies for letting me come down and stay all winter and train and just put the work in. So I think it paid off.
I think so. Put your hands together for Craig DeLong, folks. Make our way over here to second place. Teague, let's put you on this side here, man. Teague and Temple, let's hear it. Wow, dude. I'm telling you, you brought your own people. That cost a bunch, or they a reasonable rate?
No, they wanted to come, surprisingly, but I guess I put on a pretty good show today and, you know, made them proud, I hope.
I tell you, was it as easy as you made it look?
No, definitely not. It got gnarlier and gnarlier with every lap, and, you know, stayed as smooth as I could. We made a bunch of changes this week, and I think they paid off.
I tell you what, it didn't look like you really pumped up. I didn't see you with any real signs of fatigue or anything like that. You look pretty comfortable today.
Yeah, for sure. I got off to a pretty good start. I think, a few bikes back from the lead and made a couple moves, and then got out front and kind of checked out and rode my own race. And then Trevor got me. I actually collided with a lapper on pit row, and then I didn't even get to really ride with him. But, yeah, happy with second. Craig was riding good. He was right there. Good day.
It seems like a good day, man. Anytime you're on the podium, for sure. Hey, who helped put this beta up here this weekend?
Beta, factory suspension, Kenda, FMF, IMS, Recluse, all the guys at Beta, Tim Pilge, Ronnie, you know, made some changes to the suspension this week, which was great. Zach's been a big help. My whole family, of course, the whole crowd out here, from my buddy Mike, my dad, my mom, my sister, the Hicks family, everybody right here, pretty much.
All right, man, we'll soak it in and enjoy it. Congratulations on a great ride, second place here today.
Thank you.
Teagan Temple, ladies and gentlemen, second place. Now over here to the man of the hour, TB10, making it happen today. Now, you know, you and I talked a little bit in Anaheim at the Supercross. I had a chance to talk to the boss, JC, a little bit, and we had similar thoughts on this conglomeration that you have, this partnership you have now. And let me tell you something. The results are going to speak for themselves, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it was a great day. I got a pretty bad start and found myself on the ground a lot the first lap. And I come through the first lap and I was third, so it really shocked me. And then I just tried to stay smooth and consistent. I knew the track was going to get beat, and everybody's going to get tired because we hadn't raced in a few months. But, yeah, it all worked out good, and I got around both these guys, and they actually pitted it on the lap that I passed them, so I was able to get a little lead and then just ride it on in.
Well, I tell you what, man, you were impressive today, no doubt about it. Now, you've ridden the red bike before. How good is this thing working?
Oh, Johnny and Eric and the whole team's got that thing dialed, man. There wasn't one thing that I could complain about. Yeah, it was perfect.
Awesome. Well, I know you got a bunch of people you want to thank right now.
Yeah, Johnny, Dad, you know, Eric, he's been putting a lot of hours in on the bike. Fly, I know there's a lot of people here. John at 100%, Max at Fly, Henson, Lucas Oil, Renthal, Alpansar, anyone else I forgot, just thanks.
Right on. TB10, ladies and gentlemen, Trevor Bollinger with the win here today in our XC2 class. Guys, grab those plaques. Let's get up here in the middle. We'll get one more picture here, and we're going to let Trevor pop this thing off. Then we're going to give Craig his whole shot award. All right, here we go. Pop that thing off, Trevor. Everybody looks thirsty down front, buddy. All right, great job, you guys. Amazing race everybody got to witness here today. Come on, one more time, you guys. Make some noise for me. Make it right this time. Awesome. Congratulations to all these guys. Congratulations to JC down there, Johnny Campbell. A lot of hard work went into all these teams and the effort from all these guys, so congratulations to each and every one of them. Right now we're going to present Craig DeLong with his Whole Shot Award. And courtesy of Hot Cams, got an extra $100 to work with this weekend, Craig, so got that whole shot. Didn't necessarily keep it for real long, but you know what? Was recognized nonetheless by Hot Cams.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Congratulations, and we're going to see you guys next week.
I'd like to thank my dad for all the hard work he's put in this year. So, thank you.
Right on. This guy right here is a champ, no doubt about it, man. A lot of time and dedication goes into this machine right here.
Well, celebrations continue here for just a few moments for our XC2 Pro Lights class, and I know that we paid a lot of attention, had an opportunity to take a look at that top amateur portion of the program, see if we can find who that would have been. We can congratulate him if nothing else. And looks like, yeah, coming in the 21st place overall in the 250A class, the 309 of Alex Teagarden, your top amateur today. So congratulations, Alex Teagarden, on your extreme efforts that you put forth here in the sands of Florida as the celebrations continue. And I tell you, that right there to me is a great look. We see two solid rides today out of the JCR team. The folks at Honda got to be excited. Johnny Campbell himself has got to be excited what kind of fruition he is starting to see take place here in the off-road racing world. They got the win there last year. This year they get the win in the XC2 Pro Light season opener, and they got Chris Bach right there that's showing signs again of being one of the top contenders. So a lot of things to celebrate, no doubt about it. And we've got our top amateur award we're going to be getting to here in just a couple of moments. And like we said, that 250A class rider, Alex Teagarden, 21st place overall for that rider. So congratulations to him on a hard-fought effort. And we'll head down with Johnny Gallagher, who's got the American Cargo's $125 check. That right there will help this rider get to the next race and be prepared for maybe the possibility of winning it again as we head back down to the podium. Congratulations once again, 21st place top amateur, Alex Teagarden.
All right, folks, here he is, Alex Teagarden, 21st overall, your 250A class winner and top amateur for the day. You get a little bit extra traveling money from American Cargo for the top amateur award. Alex, tell us a little bit about your day and how you got here.
And it started out really rough. I was really behind the 8-ball for the first maybe 2.5 laps, and I was pretty worried about my pace. I think I was back like outside the top 5 maybe, and so I was pretty worried at first. But Steve Hatch, he's been working with me a ton, and I was super confident that late in the race I was going to pay off just going slow early, and so I really got things going like 3rd lap in and dropped the hammer, and you know, I guess I made it happen at that point. So.
You know, throughout much of the race, you weren't actually leading your class or the amateur overall. There was 2 or 3 other guys up there mixing it up, and you were quite a ways back, honestly. At the end, I don't know if they told you or not, I know going into the last lap, you had a 3-minute lead on the next amateur overall rider. So not only did you come back and get to that top spot, but you put quite a gap in. So obviously it says a lot about your program over the winter and your strength coming into the season. So I'm sure you got a lot of people you want to thank for getting up here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, Dad. Man, he's put so much up for me to make this happen. And, you know, everybody that is behind me, Waynesburg Yamaha, Steve Hatch, Stuck MX, FMF, DP Brakes, Bonsai Engines, Kevin, he built a heck of a motor for me. This thing's rolling, so everything's great.
Well, there it is, folks. The first person he thanks is his dad. You know, obviously this is a family sport. He's put a lot out. All of his sponsors. Ken Hill's going to get your picture now so we can make you Insta-famous on Instagram. And great day today, Alex Teagarden, for you. Congratulations, and back to you, Rodney.
All right, thanks a lot, Johnny Gallagher. And that right there goes to show the tale of it all, my friends. The emotion that we just heard out of Alex Teagarden's voice, we can tell that this meant a lot. That's the passion, the heart, the desire, the drive that is within all of us, I believe. And these guys are somehow or another able to showcase it here on the Grand National Cross Country Trail. They're able to reach deep and find it, and a lot of guys did just that, and that sets the stage for what is going to be a phenomenal 2016 season. Round 1 of 13 now in the history books. Congratulations to our overall winner today, the 114 and former champion of this series himself. Congratulations to you, Josh Strang. We'll see you back on RacerTV.com tomorrow with more live racing coverage after action from the Daytona Motorsports Speedway from the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross beginning at 12:30. On behalf of all of us here at RacerTV.com, my co-hosts, Mr. Johnny Gallagher and Megawatt Matt Watson, and special guest today, Jason Wygant, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Good day, everybody.